This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon to you all and welcome to your sunset safari. We are coming to you live from the Masai Mara in Kenya with a very sad scenario happening right in front of us. At this very moment, we do have a mother giraffe who we believe gave birth early this morning, but we're not exactly sure what time, and indeed the newborn calf is dead. Now, we cannot say exactly what has happened, but indeed it could have been a stillborn, or it could have maybe injured itself very fatally on the way out from the mother. The birthing process for a giraffe is very complicated. It could have hit his head or indeed broke its vertebrae. It's very sad scene. My name is Lauren and I do have Manu on camera today. And as usual, please do talk to us. Use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or on the YouTube chat stream. Now, what else I have to add to the story, we have been here for a few hours now, is indeed the area is surrounded by hyenas from the North Clan. We have Waffles somewhere with her 2 cubs, and indeed we have many hyenas just waiting it out until this mother does leave her calf. Now, what has been the most stressful and heartbreaking thing about this afternoon that I am finding it quite difficult to deal with is the maternal instinct of this mother. She will not leave her calf alone, and I'm sure all of you are feeling as sad as I am. She's been chasing off the hyenas for 2 hours now that we have witnessed, but of course this scene could have been ongoing for many hours prior to that. Sadly, one of the hyenas did manage to get in and the calf has been opened, the carcass has been opened, and one hyena did manage to start feeding. However, the mother came in, charged off the hyena, and she still remains present. She is still guarding her newborn calf ferociously, and it's just absolutely devastating to watch. Now, a lot of people think that giraffes are really, there we go, she's chasing off a hyena right now. But she will eventually become exhausted. She's very stressed. And indeed, that was Waffles herself. She just chased off Waffles. And she's chasing off another one. She's really not letting up. She knows exactly what the hyenas are waiting for. And she's just continuing to stand her ground. She keeps checking and nudging her calf, which is just heartbreaking. She doesn't want to give up on it, and she keeps nudging it with her nose, trying to get it to stand. And of course, it's never going to stand. This is just made 100 times more difficult to watch by the mother's action. She does not want to leave her baby. And it's just absolutely heartbreaking. I have a huge lump in my throat and it's just been the most difficult 2 hours. And of course, this probably doesn't make hyena look in the most amazing light, but indeed this is hyenas and they have seen an opportunity, and of course they will seize it. So we are going to stay here and just watch exactly what happens. But for now, let's go down to South Africa and say hi to Jamie.
Okay, so while the hyenas feed, and speaking about opportunists, we have some of the biggest opportunists out in the bushveld. A very good afternoon to you all. My name is Jamie. This afternoon, Craig is behind the camera, and we are attempting to film a troop of vervet monkeys that are out in the open area of quarantine. Now, we've been chasing them around, not actually chasing them, they're not afraid of us. But we've been following them around, trying to get them on camera since the start of the Sunset Safari. But every time we do, they vanish, as they have just done right now. And actually yesterday afternoon, I was saying to David, I really want a good monkey sighting. I feel like I haven't had any in ages, but apparently today is not our day. We've had a great time, though. They keep ducking and diving us. There's a couple of mothers with small babies. And as I said, true opportunists out here. They're very, very smart little animals and very quick to learn, as is the case with most most primates. I love watching them move through the grass because they're obviously far more comfortable when they're in the trees. But the grass is so long at the moment and they're in this open area, so they can't move from tree to tree. They have to run through the grass. And then every now and again, one of them gets left behind and then has to do this mad little hop, jump up and down and look for where the rest of the troop has gone. And most of them have actually moved away now. And I was about to say I'll just drive there quickly, but I've just realized that that road is closed. So I can't. You'll see there's a fence there. It's just surrounding a house. It's not that these animals are fenced in. For those of you that are new to these safaris. Oh, look, it's our friend, Craig. I know you. Yes, you. We all know you. You little thief. And that particular individual with the broken hand, whose name is not appropriate for our live safaris, is a firm friend at the DRC camp, which is, of course, where we all live. It is, of all of the individuals in this troop of monkeys, this one is perhaps the boldest when it comes to attempting to steal our breakfast. And occasionally, if it's allowed anywhere near the dustbin, it puts in a jolly good effort when it comes to opening up the dustbin and trying to get in there. Obviously, we're very careful. The most important thing out here is that wild animals don't associate people with food. But unfortunately, around a camp situation, they're not stupid. They know that there's food. They can smell the food. They know there's fruit and all sorts of things. So they do spend a bit of time around our camp. And we all have many a story of a time that monkeys have caused a little bit of hassle in our lives. Evan says, yo, the monkeys steal the whole time. They do. They're very... hop, hop, hop. There's that hop. Of course it would be behind the tree. That was the hop I was talking about, though. Monkeys are opportunists, as I said, which means that if there is an available food opportunity, they are going to take it. There's the hop again. Wait. There it is. I think it's awesome watching them do that. I think I've told you all the story, I definitely have, of my case of malaria in December. And when we came back, I don't remember where we'd been, but we came back from somewhere. And the monkeys had got into our house and found a bag of flour, of all things, and spread the flour absolutely everywhere, across the microwave, in the kettle. And what made it even better was because dry flour is bearable, it's manageable. But what they'd done is they'd made little banana pancakes, because they got into the bananas as well, and they smushed the banana all over our counter in the flour, thus creating a mixture that could be marketed as some sort of industrial adhesive in terms of its sticking power. They also, for good measure, defecated in our sink and smushed that around as well, creating a banana flour monkey patty, which was truly revolting to behold and utterly charming to clean up. It was hilarious, really. I had to laugh. All of our glasses, they didn't break anything, which is quite astounding. Right, where have you gone? I saw one of you. Ha, there they are. There's one with a baby as well. No, stop running away. You are so bold when you're in our camp. Now when I want to... Oh, shame, girl. End of the road. Interesting question from Jenny. Jenny wants to know if monkeys will steal spicy food. And the answer is monkeys can't actually help themselves from stealing anything that smells vaguely appetizing. However, they will be affected by the spiciness of the food, and they are affected by chilies. Now, I've seen a monkey steal a chili before and eat it and then get this incredibly horrified expression on its face with its mouth wide open, panting furiously. Oh yes, they will steal spicy food. Interestingly enough, they share a lot of traits in common with one of the other common thieves out here, which is, of course, the spotted hyenas. You've got to be very, very careful with That's so cool. Very careful within a camp to make sure that the hyenas can't get into the dustbins. They learn phenomenally quickly if you start doing that, and they become a problem. There's so many similarities between the way that monkey social structure work and hyena. The biggest being, of course, that the baby monkeys inherit the status from their mothers. Having a jolly good scratch. Look at you posing there. The little casual lean backwards. Could grace the cover of any magazine. Pity you're so far away. They are so cute. They really are. It's hard to be angry with them. Well, no, actually that's a complete and utter lie. It's very easy to be angry with them. It's hard to keep that anger and get that anger to last. Especially when you see them running around with babies tucked under their bellies. Okay, well that was a really nice way to start off our afternoon. It sounds as though Rusty is having an equally pleasant start to his.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Safari Live here in Djuma. We had a nice little surprise. We actually looked quite a bit for her. We went down to where she was last seen this morning, and we found the tracks and some dung. And then, as we were deciding what to do next, the impalas were alerting and the squirrels were alerting. And then we came quite fast around one of the corners, and she was just walking along the road. So we're going to follow for a little bit, and it's quite exciting because I didn't expect to see her this afternoon. I thought she was going to be passed out somewhere with a full stomach. But yes, well, for anyone who's just arrived on the scene, this is Talamba. She's only 1.5 years old, and she's become quite the princess of the area. Whether she lives up to that name, it's another story. Her mother has got quite a reputation of being quite not aggressive, but quite temperamental. But she is definitely stolen a lot of people's hearts. She's slowly stealing ours. But yeah, we have no idea where she's heading now. So yes, it is quite an achievement. But yeah, we have to thank the impala for this and the squirrel, because we wouldn't have found her otherwise. We were on a completely different side of the drainage line and doing our own thing. We were going to have a segment about the tracks and the dung, thinking that she's probably sleeping in the shade somewhere. So it was a good time. So, well, everyone, welcome to Safari Live again. My name is Rusty, and behind the camera we have Seb. And he also pointed out the impala, so got to give him credit for that. But yeah, it's a joint effort. But there's quite a bit of drama going on in the Mara, eh? That giraffe with a young one getting hassled by the hyenas. Oh. This goes to show her age. She has just tried to chase a squirrel. Now, only a young leopard that age will do something like that. She's obviously got all this energy pumped up and will only chase, or not only chase it, but she'll chase anything that moves at this point. So a squirrel just ran up the tree and she thought she might get it, but that's a lost cause. Let's just keep going. She's going to disappear around the corner. Now, it's actually the last few days, for all of those who have been watching, for all those who are new. Seenak. Sorry. Will she hunt today? It could be. She was feeding off a kill the last 2 days. Yesterday, I think she appeared on one of the kills. Her father killed at a kudu about 3 days ago, and she just came out of nowhere, and she made her way up to the kill, up in one of the trees in the drainage line, not far from here. That's where we thought she might be. And she's been feeding on it. It's very unusual to see that kind of relationship between father and daughter, especially with leopards, but nothing's set in stone. And you just have to agree or disagree with some of the books. But this is what live is all about. We're showing you how it is without putting it down into a book. So yes, it's quite surprising. She is 1.5 years. She will be coming to season the next couple of months, or when she's 2.5. So whether she will mate with her father, it's no rules against that here in the bush. But whether her dad will push her out or her mother will push her out, we don't know. She is sharing a territory with her mother. She still apparently is seen every now and again with her mother, but nothing is set in stone. But she is on a mission somewhere. I think she's just... the kudu is long finished. It was a very small kudu, Tingana, her father. Yeah, so Tingana is the dominant male in this area, and that's her father. Oh, unless we do a gene test, we're not too sure, but generally from following her and her mother around and her father, there was a lot of proof of them mating and a lot of evidence of them around. So, yes, we are pretty sure that Tingana is the father. And he killed a kudu a few days ago, which dragged it up into a tree, and he's been feeding on it for the last 3 days, and she came along yesterday, and that was her last meal. There wasn't much left there. There was a bit of a disagreement going on, but he seemed to not mind. But now she doesn't look very full, so I think she just might be on the hunt. But I'll keep you updated, and we'll definitely be staying with her for a while longer. Okay, while we keep update with her, I'm going to send you back to Lauren and the Mara with that heartbreaking scene.
Now, more hyenas have indeed arrived on the scene, and they have the advantage of patience. They're literally just waiting it out. They've been here some time. We've been here for a few hours now, and indeed, it's just a game of time. Eventually, this mother will have to give up on her calf, and she will have to leave, and the hyenas know this. Now, just within the last 20 minutes, it's got dramatically cooler here, and there is a lovely breeze coming through, which makes such a difference for us sitting on the vehicle, and of course it will be a little bit easier for the giraffe herself and of course the hyenas. Now, I really cannot say how long this mother is going to stay here for. I don't know if I've ever witnessed such maternal instinct and maternal love in an animal before. It's been a very, very hard thing to watch unfold, and you have to think this is a female giraffe can come in anywhere between 700 to 900 kilograms, which would be about, excuse my terrible mathematics, maybe 1,500 to 2,000 pounds roughly, and of course your average female hyena would come in about 70 kilograms, 150 pounds. So there's a dramatic difference between these two species, and of course the hyenas know this. They know that if they get too close and the mother does indeed kick them with her powerful kick, it could result in serious injury, if not death. So it is now just a waiting game, and since I mentioned the winds have turned, we are able to indeed smell rotting flesh, which is not a pleasant smell for us. But I do think this giraffe was indeed born in the early hours of the morning today, and the mother has not left its side. So we were made aware of it earlier, and of course we came to see what was going on. And it is natural for these hyenas to pick up on the scent. It's natural for them to be driven towards the smell. If we can smell it from the vehicle all the way over here, of course a hyena will be attracted to that. And it does appear to be most members of the North clan. We've managed to identify quite a few individuals, and indeed they are from the North clan, which doesn't seem to be too far from here. We can even see Waffles herself and indeed her cubs. There's some hyenas hiding right there, just waiting for the right moment to run in. Now, I really, really don't know what's going to happen from here on out. I don't know whether other animals will come in. Magic Dragon Wizard is asking how often does things like this happen, a giraffe baby dying. Honestly, Magic Dragon Wizard? I have no idea. I have never seen this before. I've never encountered anything like this before. But for giraffes, for a mother giraffe, she actually has a gestation period of 15 months. Giraffes in general are actually the only ruminant to be pregnant for over 1 year. That is a long time to carry the baby inside of you. And of course, due to her body shape, her size and her height, it's incredibly awkward for a mother to give birth. There could potentially be about a 2-meter drop from the mother to the ground. This is about 6 feet, And indeed, if it's not done correctly, the calf could die. It could break its vertebrae on the way out, which is why indeed giraffes have to be very, very careful whilst giving birth. And most often the calf will come out feet first, almost like in a Superman position, which is... I really can't decide here. We haven't had a proper look at the calf. We can only see it lying on the ground from quite a distance. But indeed, it could have been a stillborn, or it could have actually been alive during the birthing process and injured itself during that attempt for the mother to get it out. So I really can't say. This is just my thoughts, my speculations. So to go back to your question, I'm really not sure. I imagine it does happen, but this is quite an exposed area. It's right at the side of a road, and obviously this mother giraffe decided to give birth right here and then, which is why we're able to view it. But it does potentially happen a lot more often, and we're just not able to see it. So it's a very sad day indeed. Kristen is asking, do I see other giraffes around? And no, I don't. We've actually been searching from the minute we arrived here, and I can't see any other giraffes. Giraffes are generally social animals. They're quite gregarious, but they don't necessarily stay together in tight-knit herds. And it's very common when a mother is about to give birth that she will indeed isolate herself. We're just having a scan of the surroundings there. She will isolate herself in order to give birth in private, away from other giraffes in isolation. That is quite common. So it's very possible that's what this mother has done, isolated herself, and indeed chosen this spot to give birth, and something somewhere along the line has gone wrong. Now, giraffe calves are born at about 100 kilos, which is 220 pounds approximately, so they're very, very small compared to the size of their mothers. And indeed, they're supposed to be on their feet within 15 minutes. So they're supposed to get up, get on their feet. They will be wobbly, they will be unsteady, and that's where the mother does come in to help them. But of course, this mother keeps trying to nudge the calf and nothing is happening. It's just heartbreaking, and she's continuing to stand there. She can most likely smell the blood which is now coming from the calf, and she knows that she is surrounded by hyenas. The hyenas are all here. They've all just gone flat. So it's not so easy to see them because they, of course, are biding their time. And just because of the pain and the stress that the mother is going through, this is one of the most difficult sightings I have had to date. Now, nature is nature. There is a cycle of life, of course. The circle of life is natural. But indeed, this is just difficult to see what the mother is going through here. So we are going to stay for now and continue to watch to see what happens. But let's send you back down to Jamie in South Africa.
Shame. It's really sad for that female giraffe. Never an easy thing to witness. We're going to move rapidly on from that and tell you that I just bumped straight into Rusty and Hlalamba and Seb, of course, because I thought they were still where she was left this morning. I don't know why I assumed that. I just sort of assumed that that was where she was. So I was cruising along down Twin Dams, and all of a sudden, there they were. So I've had to change my route. I've turned around. I was going to go to Treehouse, potter around there. But that doesn't mean much for those of you that don't know this area. It's basically a waterhole. It's warmish, so I've changed my plans, and I'm going to go all the way to the northeastern corner of Djuma, to a place called Buffelshoek Dam, where I think that Tundi has a kill. Tundi is Hlalamba's mother, and I've suspected for the last 2 days that she's there. We did see her there the other day, so I'm going to go and have a look there, but first we'll stop and have a look at all the impala in the greater Kruger by the looks of things. My word, it's a lot of you. Hopefully the flies that have hitched a ride with us are going to jump ship and go join them. That would be very nice. You can see a couple of them have their heads up, but really quite relaxed. They're looking good, aren't they? We're coming up now to the end of the rainy season, which of course means the beginning of the rut for the male impala, and by association, whether they want to or not, it includes the female impala as well. So what happens is that the males start to fight quite seriously to gather up a little harem of ladies, And then for about a week, they spend trying to keep the females around them and fight off other males and mating. And then after that, they are so exhausted because they don't eat or sleep or rest in any way. They are absolutely so exhausted that the next male comes in, defeats them in a battle, and so the cycle continues for about 2 months or so of the year. We're not quite there yet, but all of the animals out here have been taking full advantage of the lushness of vegetation. So the grasses have been seeding, the trees have been fruiting. For an animal like an impala that eats both leaves and grasses, it is a boon. There's just so much for them to eat, and they're going to eat as much as they can because the long, hard, dry months are coming soon. You all saw what they looked like at the beginning of the year. Not the beginning of the year, I mean the beginning of the rainy season, so around about October last year. They were skin and bones. It's actually hard to believe we're looking at the same antelope. They look smooth, sleek, well padded, well muscled. Everything about them set for this whole new journey. It's actually now a lot of you thinking, and I think it's particularly pertinent to these impala, especially while we're watching a female groom her youngster. Jennifer's mentioned that with impala, if their baby dies, the mothers will often stick around. You'll see it with all of the animals. You know, they've got a really strong maternal instinct, all of them. And I always think that of all the animals, I feel that impala have some of the roughest times of things, impala mothers. You know, you're looking at around about 50% of each year's babies are not going to make it. So imagine how many, I mean, this is really depressing now, but imagine how many lambs a ewe must lose in her lifetime, because she'll have one each and every single year. It's a really rough life for them, and I can only imagine that while they do experience loss, of course they do, in mourning, and they've got that really powerful maternal instinct, I can only suggest that it doesn't, they must have a degree of resilience to it, surely. I mean, the fact that they keep going, they can't be fully registering the intensity of that loss. But as Lauren has pointed out, and as we all agree, all things have to eat, whether it's hyena or little Hlalamba searching for a meal.
We don't want to interrupt her too much, but she spotted some nyala. Now, these nyala are quite large compared to her body size, but she has taken down a full-grown male impala. So a young male nyala is a bit bigger than an impala, and it could just be... She's quite serious about it. You can just see the nostrils sticking out the tree there. But the nyala is not aware of her being here. There's quite a big gap. We can't actually show you the nyala because it's quite tucked away. She's really focused. We'll try keep you going. If she moves a bit more forward, we'll try keep track of her, but it is very thick to the left of me here. If she does take a run forward, she'll have to sneak up quite close because there's a bit of a dip between her and the nyala. Yeah, the nyala is unaware of her. She might use that to her advantage. She's concentrating. The little tip of her tail is flicking every now and again. It just goes to show, like, we can see the nyala quite, well, semi-clearly. She's got full focus on it. It just goes to show how even the nyala's got very good eyesight. The leopard, the pattern, makes her blend in so well. It's been often the case when you've walked right up past them or driven straight past them. It's only until they move, you're like, how did I miss it? But it's designed beautifully to blend into its environment. But she has become quite the master huntress. I'm not too sure. I don't know if the Nyala has or hasn't. It hasn't let out any alarm calls yet. But it is walking like very slowly through the bush. The Nyala, not... Okay. I'm actually losing sight of the Nyala, so the next move is on to lumber, whether she keeps going forward or she's going to ignore it. It is a large animal, and I've got a funny feeling she's going to bite off more than she can chew. But it's all part of the experience. A young male Nyala like that is pretty much left for her father's ability, not her size. But being this young, this is all part of training. She'll know what not to attack and what to attack. You often find young leopards like this with porcupine quills stuck in their face, or being attacked by honey badgers because they just take on more than they can chew. But it's like young teenage humans, where it's that learning point where you get sent out into the world. And you have to learn. Sometimes you learn the hard way. Sometimes you learn from others. But at this age, she is on her own. She's just adjusting her weight either side. If you could actually like go down and see her feet, which we cannot see, you can almost like probably see her claws going in and out and stretching on the ground, ready to make that move. Full concentration. I think she's also second guessing it. It's got quite a big gap. There's quite a big gap between her and the Nyala, and with a bit of a dip, she might have to expose herself before she even gets close. But like I said, it's all part of the training. But leopards do that. They do work out and they do use the landscape to their advantage. In some places, you even hear of leopards using vehicles, lions using vehicles to... Even cheetahs using vehicles to get around and using as a shelter or to hide from their prey, to get closer to their prey. But I assure you, we are way out the way and not... This is as close as we're going to come to her or to assist her. She's keeping us all on our toes. It's a break or make. Amanda, a question. Will she meet up with Tundi, her mother, every now and again, or is she fully independent? She is fully independent now. But yes, she was feeding off her father's kill last night, but it does not mean she's not independent. She does hunt very well by herself. It has been proven, it has been seen. So she is independent. She can look after herself quite well. But yes, there's a few trials and errors she has to go through to become a fully matured leopard. Oh, this Nyala is actually lying down. Sorry, I got distracted. So the Nyala is very unaware of her presence. Either the Nyala knows that she's got nothing against, he's got nothing, or Talamba's got nothing against the size. We can't actually see her. I can't move any more forward without disturbing anything. It's quite tucked in there. Just zoom in. I'll see if I can try.
Show me on the monitor.
Go down. Oh, it's quite difficult. I can't even pick up the Nyala on the screen. Sorry.
Go there.
It's very difficult to see. Oh, it's very difficult. I do apologize, but there's only so much we can do. Now, if anyone's not too sure what a nyala looks like, it's quite a medium-sized animal, antelope. It inhabits mostly riverine forests, mostly where there is water or dried up rivers or riverbanks. They like the thick foliage. They've got this beautiful pattern. Their females are like a light brown with these white stripes, horizontal stripes down their body. And the males with these big grey shaggy coats with quite impressive horns. And now this young male has got it's about a year old, maybe a 2-year-old male, so the horns. Now the young male is just got quite pointy horns, so that could also cause quite a defense for him against the lumber. So that's something she has to look out for. I don't know what's going to happen. This could be an all-day event. She might lose interest and move on. Rosalind, the nyala didn't censor. No, the nyala just is lying down now. But Talamba is slowly losing interest. So she's not actually that... Oh, nope, she's still keeping an eye out. You can just see the nostril. And she's quite focused. That is a very vulnerable stage the nyala's at. Lying down is, makes it very vulnerable. But like I said, there's quite a bit of space between her and the nyala. The nyala is clearly unaware of her presence. So we are not too sure. It's going to go either which way. She's going to try and the nyala's going to run off. She's going to try and get it. But I've got a funny feeling she's going to definitely realize how big that animal is. But hey, leopards can do more than their body weight, can take on more than their body weight. So I just wish her all the best. Well, we'll try to keep you updated as much as we can. But yeah, obviously we try not to miss anything. But we are going to head back to Lauren in the Mara and her giraffe.
The scene is just, I'm speechless. The hyenas actually managed to grab the calf there, and the giraffe just came at full speed and chased them off. She's really not given up. Exhaustion will settle in at some point. This mother has been standing in the heat of the midday for hours and hours and hours guarding this calf. She has also, of course, just given birth. So we're going to stay here and watch, but for now send you back down to South Africa with Talamba.
Okay. You lied, huh?
Sorry, I was trying to see what she did move a little bit. The nyala is still lying down. The nyala is still very much unaware of her presence. She did move about 4 or 5 meters forward. She didn't as much as I thought she would. I think she's also realizing that this might be a little bit bigger than she expected. But never say never. This is a learning curve. If she gets it, she has all our support. From a distance, obviously. But if she misses, it's just part of the learning curve. She's very aware of everything that goes on. Those ears are just continuously moving. Devi, you're very impressed with her patience. I agree. For such a young leopard, she has got a lot of patience, but I think because she's not as young as in experience, she is an experienced hunter now, so I think she knows how much time to put into a hunt. But I think she's also I think she's aware of her surroundings now. I think she knows she's going to have to expose herself to get across that little drainage line. So like, it's all planning. She's literally got a whole map going through her head, like which way to go left of the tree, right of the tree. But yeah, sometimes the animal does a sidestep and she has to change route. But she's literally planning every move from pretty much now to where she gets closer to that animal, to know where every pad goes without breaking a branch, making a noise. She every now and again just see her adjust her stance. But it's also got the look of like interest more than actually a hunt, because she is quite visible where she is. She's not like hiding, but you have to understand, Nyalas do have brilliant eyesight, but it's very difficult. Oh, I think we might actually be able to see that male, see that Nyala up here. I'm going to try to keep eye on her. Up. There, down. In there, to the right. It's moving at the back here. There it is. Up. There we go.
Right.
That is
Yeah.
Nyala. That's as much as we can get of her. It's just proof of another animal being there.
What part of the Nyala is in?
I really don't know. We're trying to work out what part of the animal that is. But it just goes to show how blended in these animals are as well. Yeah, I'm guessing it's part of the face. It was lying down. I don't know if it's moved. I think it's just chewing cud. Yes, it's a jaw. It's just chewing.
Yes.
There we go. You can make out an ear, a jaw. Okay. There we go. Now you get the full scale of what we're dealing with. Like, if she does take off or get a bit close, it's going to be very difficult to keep an eye on her, but that's what a zoom and a camera can help us with. It's going to be very difficult for me to follow her through there, but we'll try to do the best we can. Yeah, she's got pretty much all the time in the world, or for today. Obviously her stomach might rumble a little bit. Okay, well, we will keep an eye on her and bring you back as soon as she moves again. If it's going to be anything like last time, as soon as we go off, she's going to move, but I will try to keep you updated. We're going to head back to the drama back in the mark.
In her time, and unfortunately this mother here is completely out of time. The situation is still the same. She just cannot leave. The hyenas are surrounding her, and it is just a test of time. Now, as sad as it seems, I just can't bring myself to leave this scenario. I just cannot bear to see this mother indeed go through this pain. I am hoping that at one point she's standing right in front of that hyena. At one point she will leave. She will get up and leave at some point. I just don't know when that will be. Other hyenas are running in. They're running in straight for the calf. 3 hyenas. They're all going to begin a feeding frenzy. The mother's turned round. She's running. She's chased him off. It's heartbreaking. She keeps bending down to inspect her young one. Now, giraffes can run fast. They can actually reach speeds of 50 to 60 kilometers per hour when they're really galloping. And of course, this female is putting her young one first. Every time she turns her back, she has to run back at full speed to protect her calf from the hyenas that are coming in every direction. I really cannot predict how long this mother is going to stay here. indeed how long she's going to guard her young. I just cannot imagine. Now, once upon a time, it sounds like a fairy tale, but actually giraffe mothers were thought to be extremely sort of careless, not very good mothers. However, since then it has been proven that giraffes are excellent mothers, and the giraffe mother-calf bond can be very strong, very endearing, and can actually last up to 22 months. And I think from what we're seeing right in front of us right now, giraffes are good mothers. Now, giraffe females normally become sexually mature about 4 years old on average, and I am not sure whether this is a young first-time mother. I really can't tell, but that could indeed be an explanation as to why she just will not give up. Now, many of you might be wondering why the hyenas are not getting closer, and it is to protect themselves. She is a large mammal. She has long legs with a powerful kick that indeed could really, really injure one of those hyenas. I just can't believe this is happening in front of me. There's been a few sad days in Namara, I'm afraid, and indeed this is definitely one of them. Now, hyenas being hyenas, they will indeed wait it out, and of course, it's just a game of patience. So while this scene just continues to remain hard, we are going to wait for it to unfold. And for now, let's go across to Jamie for an update.
Oh dear, another traumatizing scene from the Mara. It hasn't been a good few days for the guides up that side. I think they're going to... They've experienced true proper emotion now with the goings-on of the wild. So we've arrived at Buffelshoek Dam for a much more, in theory, romantic setting. You know, I've been sitting on this suspicion for a while. And I mean, we must have a close look because it's just a suspicion. But I sometimes wonder... I mean, we of course have Scuba Steve and his friend Snorkel Sarah, his close friend Snorkel Sarah. I'm not 100% convinced that Snorkel Sarah is not in fact a young male. Given that we've never seen them out of water, and in fact, all we've really seen them do is lift their heads up above the surface of the water every now and again. I'm just wondering, it's possible. It would be an interesting twist to the storyline, but they're certainly not going to show us any of themselves now. Right now, all I can see is a nose of one of them. Well, you never know. We might get really fortunate and all of a sudden there's a little third addition to the family. But I don't think that that's going to happen anytime soon. They're going to have to get through the dry season first. Of big puffs. I'm just going to turn up my game drive radio for 1 second. I'm just listening to what's happening with Tlalamba with half an ear and half my brain. So when we last saw Tundi, she came down for a drink here at the edge of the water and then went wandering around. And I suspect, judging by the number of alarm calls we heard around here, I think she might still be somewhere around. Ah, Scuba Steve and Snorkel Sarah. The most interesting of all the animal characters we see. Craig, have you ever filmed anything so spectacular before?
Once.
Once. Craig says once. It's a hard act to follow, really. It is riveting. Yes, I think, Kirst, in fact, we should immediately begin an unscheduled broadcast. Just to draw in... You know what, Kirst has called my bluff on this before. I should be careful what I say. Well, this has been exciting. I'm just sitting here making certain I haven't missed a leopard lying near the water's edge, because I've done that before here. The first time Rusty saw Tingana, we were here on a training drive. And all of a sudden there was sounds of mating leopards from right next to the water. We had no idea they were there. Shall we move on? It's one of those funny windy days where even the hippos don't want to cooperate. Alright, well, as thoroughly intriguing as my sighting with a hippo ear has been, I'm sure you're all really quite keen to get back to the Mara and rejoin Lauren.
We actually have 2 jackals arriving on the scene, moving forward at a very fast pace. So not only is this giraffe going to have to contend with the hyenas surrounding her, there is now 2 jackals just joining the scenario, and I'm very sure within soon there will be more. We are currently sitting here live with a very sad scenario unfolding right in front of our eyes here. We have a very distressed mother giraffe who has just given birth, most likely early this morning, to a calf who has either been stillborn, maybe slightly premature, or died during the birthing process. We're not sure. My name is Lauren, and on camera today I have Manu, and we've been sitting following this terribly sad scenario with the mother giraffe who has done nothing but try to guard and protect this calf for hours upon hours. Now there's many hyenas, they're all lying rather flat, but I can assure you there is approximately about 12 hyenas, most of them appearing to be from the North clan, which is a clan we have here in the Masai Mara in Kenya. Now, this mother must be exhausted. She's been standing here in the midday heat for some time now, and indeed running back and forth, trying to guard her dead calf from the hyenas and now the jackals that are surrounding her. Now, she is alone because most giraffes do isolate themselves when they're ready to give birth. And indeed, this is what this mother has done. But unfortunately, the calf has not survived. Now, earlier, some of the hyenas did actually get into the calf and indeed start eating. So unfortunately, the calf is now open. And of course, the scent will be in the air, which is attracting all these animals to it. Hyenas and jackals are here to steal a piece. It's a perfect opportunity. And although they have a terrible reputation for scavenging, they are just making the most of an opportunity that they have indeed come across. These animals do indeed hunt as well as steal from other animals. Colleen is asking, why haven't the lions showed up? And indeed, Colleen, that is a great question. We have been here for some time now, a good few hours, and it's sad to say, but I can indeed smell the calf. It's a horrible smell. The jackal's getting really close now. I'm just keeping my eye on it. It's a really horrible smell, but if I can smell it being a human being, then of course this smell is going to travel through the air, especially now that the wind has picked up, and other animals will be attracted to it, especially the likes of lions. So I am indeed not sure why they're not here yet, but I don't think it's impossible for it not to happen. They might show up just yet. Now we do have jackals on the scene, and the hyenas are patiently waiting it out for the mother to leave. The mother is showing absolutely no sign of leaving. However, at one point, it's going to get darker, it's going to get cooler, and she must be wearing thin. She must be exhausted by now. It's been a really long day. And let's not forget, at some point, she has also given birth. Now, she must be standing in hope, with the natural maternal instincts coming through to protect her calf. And she must be hoping, she keeps nudging, at some point this calf is going to stand up, which of course is indeed not going to happen. Now you can see the hyenas are lying flat, right close to the calf and close to the giraffe. They know there's no immediate threat from the giraffe herself, but they can't risk getting too close in case they get accidentally injured by those powerful legs. Now, the addition of the jackals are only going to make it more stressful for this mother here. I really don't know at what point she is going to make the decision to leave. Nicole is asking what exactly happened to the baby. Now, that is a great question, and we were not here for that part of the process, so I can only speculate. So sharing my thoughts, it could potentially be a premature birth or a stillborn. That's one option, or two options, sorry. Or indeed, giraffes have to give birth. They've got such awkward bodies. They're tall. They're have to give birth from height. So they do squat a little and bend down a little, but the calf has to come out of the mother at a great height. And that can sometimes be up to 2 meters, approximately 6 feet. So indeed, if it's not done correctly or something goes wrong when the calf is coming out from the mother during the birthing process, there's a high risk of injury. It could really fall and hurt its head or break its vertebrae, which could have potentially happened here. So there's a few theories. I'm really not sure which one to exactly go with, because we are at a little bit of a distance to what is happening in front of us, and we haven't had the most ideal look at the calf. So I really can't say for sure, but those are my sort of speculations with regards as to what might have happened here. Now, it's been really stressful watching it. I've had a lump in my throat for most of the afternoon. It's rather difficult to talk, but the mother still will not leave. Louise is asking, will the mother do the same thing if lions appear? Now, I have actually seen footage, not with my own eyes, but I have seen footage of giraffes fighting off lions as well. Now, remember, a giraffe has the advantage of size, and those legs can deliver a fatal kick. The giraffe will try. I really believe this mother will try and fend off lions. However, if it is a large group of lions, say for example a large pride or even 1 or 2 males, indeed I think at some point the mother would have to leave in order to protect herself. But I really do believe she would put up a good fight, and I have seen footage of this happening. Even for hours on end, a giraffe actually trying to hold off lions from getting to the calf for hours and hours upon end. So I really don't know exactly what would happen if lions would appear, but here right now, exactly where we are located, there's a high chance that lions may come in. It started off with just a few hyenas. Now we have a huge group of hyenas that we do believe could potentially be from the same clan, and of course now we do have jackals. So as time's going on, there just becomes more and more additions to this scene, and yet the mother giraffe is just not leaving. It's heartbreaking. I really am not sure why she is staying here. She has obviously got this instinct that is kicked in to protect the calf, but she knows now it's not standing up. And generally, young giraffes stand up when they've just been born. Within 15 minutes, they're on their feet. Yes, they are a bit wobbly. Yes, they need a bit of support, but they're up. They're on their feet. And normally within the first hour, they're suckling. This has not happened here. The mother knows something is wrong, and yet she's not leaving. And that's what's so hard, to sit here and watch the pain and the stress that this mother of giraffe is indeed going through. Now, it's a much better time of day. It's got cooler, it's got windier, and of course, it's going to be much easier for these hyenas to get up and really start going for it at some point. And I know many of you are feeling, or indeed saying, that it's heartbreaking, and it really, really is. This is a very difficult sighting for me. And I understand the full circle of life. However, I think just the fact that the mother is indeed here and she's not letting go is the hardest thing of all. She could be a first-time mother. She could be a very young giraffe. This could be her first, indeed, calf that she has given birth to. We cannot know that for sure. We can only speculate. But indeed, somewhere along the line, it's gone wrong. She's chasing this hyena off here. But I've noticed the hyenas don't run too far. They always come back. But she's trying. She must be so tired by now. It's really not Well, I'm not really sure how long she's been standing here, but I believe it has been since this morning. And here in Kenya, we are indeed at 5:30 p.m. in the evening. I think this mother has been standing here a very long time. Now, the hyenas know to run out of the way. They know it's not a good idea to get close to this animal. Look at the size difference. It's substantial. So the hyenas do know not to get close, but they still know the giraffe is not a big enough threat that they need to run and flee the scene, which is exactly why they're hanging around. So we are also going to hang around. It's a heartbreaking scene, but indeed, I want to see what happens. I really want to make sure this mother gets away okay and eventually accepts the fact that her calf is not going to stand up. So thank you all for joining us. And of course, if anything else does take place, you will be right back with us. So, of course, we are going to stay here for those of you who are still on board with us. It just keeps getting more and more difficult to watch. But for now, let's send you back down to Miss Klalamba on the hunt.
Oh, there is drama going down in the Mara. It is quite unsettling to watch, but it's a way of life out there. It is tough. And having it live is bringing it to your screens. It's always a bit tough. But Lamba has moved about another 5 meters. The Nyala are still further on, but we've actually moved forward so we cannot see the Nyala at all. But she's keeping a close eye on. She is getting distracted, so I think her patience is actually wearing a bit thin. So I think she just wants to hurry up and get this over and done with, as she is not in full stalk mode. This might be something to buy up some of her afternoon, take up some of her afternoon. But it is all give and take here. You gotta have patience. She might even be waiting for the Nyala to come down. Come a bit closer, down into this drainage line that's just beyond the log where she's resting in front. She's not fully into this hunting mode as she was when she started. So she might just be, like I said, she's got all day, all night. She just had a meal yesterday, so she's not starving, but she is keen to get some more meat in her, or get some more food soon. Every meal helps. You do not know when her last meal, or she doesn't know when she's next going to be able to eat. So any opportunity to hunt, any successful hunt, is a big opportunity for her to get ahead. She is still very young and very vulnerable to a lot of the other creatures out there. So yes, feeding is her main priority. Killing will enhance her skills. Yeah, she's not losing sight of those Nyalas. She's watching every move. Now, it's often the case they'll use any form of cover they can find. I've seen them hunt along like right against the banks of dry riverbeds, like flat against them and flat against the ground. And they'll go a good like 100 meters out the way and come all the way the other side. And come, like if the wind changes direction, obviously if the wind, right now we're in like a gully and the wind is circling. So her scent will be carried around. Whether the Nyala's up on the other side can smell her, I'm not too sure. They would have alerted everything else or given a bark, some form of alarm call, if they had already smelled her. But without the wind right now, like I said, is circling, so there is no direct wind towards the Nyala, so they cannot smell her. So she'll have to use stealth and camouflage to get closer, or hopefully the Nyala come closer to her. But my point of view is I don't think this Nyala I think is too big for her. Like I said, she is a teenager in human terms. She is a young female leopard. She's still learning the ways and means of the world. She is a successful hunter, but on much smaller antelopes. But here we have to live and learn. She's going to find out. Like I said, it's not impossible for her to take it down. It's just she does not have the experience. Well, while she keeps a close eye on the Nyala and we keep a close eye on her, we're going to send you to Jamie.
A Nyala bull is a pretty hefty ask of young Tlalamba. If a Nyala bull is a hefty ask, then an elephant is most definitely out of the question. We've come upon this herd who are not being very kind to me at the moment. They are ducking and diving around in quite a thick block. I'm hoping that they're going to, if I'm patient, they might walk towards a road that's just up ahead of them. And then we can get a nice, clear and open view. It's been so long since I've spent a good amount of time with elephants that I would really enjoy spending a fair portion of this afternoon with them. They're not being very cooperative at all. There's one of the big females. There's another female in this herd with a broken tail. She's got a proper kinked tail. Really obvious. Come on, you two. You've been playing. I've heard you playing behind the bushes. Now you're going to go and do it again. Behind that tree. There you go. There's another group of playful youngsters. They're having the best time just where we can't see them most of the time, which I think is really quite inconsiderate. And I'm going to be patient and I'm going to sit it out because they're coming up to the junction of the road now. So hopefully they'll be out in the open there. I think it's this female with the broken tail. Come on, girl. Your family's leaving you behind. You can see she's quite a big old elephant. Look at the prominence of her shoulder blades and the sort of sunken effect around her temples when she turns her head. Almost looks as though her skin has been stretched over her bones. And that's very common in older elephants. They start to lose condition. Their skin starts to sag a little bit, and they lose that subcutaneous fat. So although she doesn't have particularly large tusks, there's actually quite an old elephant. There she goes. Now she's coming out into the open. Is that the one with the broken tail? Yeah, there it is. Someone must have stepped on it when she was younger. Okay, she's going to push them towards the open. No, she's not. Still not got an opening yet. They're going to stop behind some more bushes. Let me try and get around. And let's see, maybe we get lucky. And they come and feed next to us or something. I can't believe I'm trying to think, but I don't think I've spent much time with elephants this work cycle round. Nikki says that she's waiting for the day when an elephant falls backwards when participating in a mock battle. And I've actually seen that happen. I've seen it happen more than once, and it's really funny when it does. Elephants have got phenomenally good proprioception and dimensional awareness, I guess, would be a good way of putting it. So it's very seldom that an elephant falls down. Obviously, they have to be very sure-footed because something the size of an elephant, sorry, I must take my foot off the brake, something the size of an elephant can really do some serious damage to itself if it does fall over. But I have seen it happen. I've seen them stumble. I've also had them nearly walk into my car just because they are so thoroughly involved in the fight that they're having or the battle that they're having that they completely forget that there might be other things around them. So it's quite common to see them walk backwards into something. But I have seen it on the odd occasion where one falls over. I've only ever seen the babies fall down completely though. I remember one sighting in the Mara with David on camera, I think, where there was this little baby that was tearing round, backwards, forwards, having the best time. And it changed direction at the last minute and ran into the back of its friend and promptly fell over straight on its bottom. It was too sweet. Elephants, you're being horrible to me. Come on, guys. Wonder where they're going. They've come from Buffelshoek Dam, so they're not really going to be heading for a drink. But they might be going to that Nyala Road drainage line junction. I'm just trying to factor in their direction, because if they go into the middle of this area here between the roads, that's my hopes and dreams gone down the drain. If they decide to stay there. See, I was hoping they would pop out here at this road. But so far they haven't been very obliging. And they've now changed direction so that they're walking parallel to the road rather than towards it. Try for a view here. No, this is really not working out. I can see an elephant there. Come on, guys. This way. Luna would like to know how long it takes a baby elephant to stand after birth, and if it's similar to a giraffe. Yes, it is actually quite similar to a giraffe. That was a pretty good guess. Like all animals, it's important that, or at least all potential prey animals, it is important that the babies are up and ready to move. Now, a baby elephant is not quite as, what's the word? Developed or confident on its feet as a baby giraffe is. A baby giraffe within 20 minutes to an hour can actually run, where a baby elephant can run but not very far before it falls over. So it's not quite as advanced in terms of how it moves, but in terms of standing, it will be around about the same time period. Now, we saw an elephant being born in the Mara and take its first steps, and that took about 40 minutes before that Ellie was fully standing on its own little feet. But what astounded me in that whole process was the way in which the mother broke open the amniotic sac and actually got the baby to get up and start moving. Because we didn't actually see the baby come out. We saw it on the ground, and I thought the mom was busy kicking something. I couldn't work out what she was doing or digging, because she just kept thumping this poor little thing backwards and forwards and rolling it over roughly until the sack broke open and the elephant sort of started to stir. And I suppose it's the equivalent of the smack on the bottom to get a baby to cry and breathe. I imagine it's the same. For giraffe, of course, they get the luxury of a 2-meter drop when they're born, which must be an unpleasant way to enter the world. For elephants, they get kicked around by feet the size of dinner plates. Okay, so my elephants are really not being very cooperative. Fortunately, Tlalamba has been with Rusty. Let's go and see what she's up to now.
Elephants, you can never tell them what to say. They'll just do what they want. She has focused more. The Nyala have come closer, but we can still not see them with the camera. But she's eyeing out 2 of them now, and she's indecisive of which one. They're both males, and they are both, one's younger than the other. But she's very indecisive about which way to go around this tree now. But she is focused. She did have a paw up. She was a bit of a movement. Then she hesitated, then relaxed again. I think, yeah, it's very hard to say what she's going to do next. The Nyala still have no idea she is there. And she's probably a good 10 meters from her. Not even, I would say, 8 meters. That Nyala's gone back the other way, turned around. This is she's going to make her... As soon as that Nyala turned around to walk the other way, she knew it was time to move. Like I said, she may be a year and a half, but she is very advanced. She knows how to do it. She's done it before, but not on an animal as large as this. She's all her senses are on high tension at the moment. Wendy, you're really hoping she gets one? I'm in between this. I'm like, yeah, go girl, or yeah, you can do it, but you're gonna either come off second best. These Nyala are a lot larger than her, almost double her size and her weight. Oh, she's going into cat and stalk mode. There might be something else in the grass closer. She was watching that. I'm not too sure. Let's see. I can't see what she's looking at now. The Nyala, I can see the Nyala bull, but she's looking at something else closer in the grass. There's a lot of tension here. Nope. She is. She's got patience. She has to. Every hunt uses up a lot of energy. So if she has a lot of failed hunts, she ends up using up energy. She may not have resources to fulfill them again. So it's basically like a sportsman or sportswoman out there. You have to conserve your energy, utilize it. You can train, you can exercise, you can stretch, but leopards don't really have a chance to go to the closest store and just buy what they need. They need to hunt. They need to exert a lot of energy for every hunt. It's not so much the running, the stalking. The stalking does use up quite a bit, but it's the taking down of whatever they attack. That uses that up, and then dragging that animal to a hiding place, taking it up a tree, that uses it up a lot of energy. And they can have like 5 or 6 failed attempts before they finally get one that is successful. This is all step by step. We don't want to push her. We don't want to rush her. This is her time. She doesn't have a clock. There's no nighttime, daytime. Tom, do genetics determine whether they're going to be good hunters or not? I think I got that question a bit askew, but yes, it all depends. Now, genetics doesn't really play a big role in hunting. It's more learning from the females, learning from their mother or even from their father. So it's not genetics as per se. There could just be a small-bodied leopard. It could be a big-bodied leopard. But even a small-bodied leopard will take down a larger prey. So it's not so much genetics. It's so much more the learning, the teaching from their mother, how successful the mother was at hunting. And all the cubs, even from a very young age, even if they have siblings, they teach one another. You've seen puppies play, you've seen dogs play. Each stage plays a vital role in how the training of becoming a hunter. So it's not so much genetics in what size they are, because you could just get a small leopard that will take on a lot bigger antelope like we have here. But yeah, when it comes to size and genetics and what's taught, it all comes into one animal. So it does not have anything to do with genetics. It's more how the mother or the female has taught the offspring how to hunt. She's still watching something. I'm sure there's something else in the grass here we're just not seeing. Yeah, it's a lot of focus, a lot of time, but we are not going anywhere. So we're going to stay with her or until something comes out of this. Whether they spot her, smell her and run off, it's just part of her training. I can't help her long. She's got her own playbook. Oh, it's just like any minute now. Any minute, any half an hour, any hour. Who knows? With just patience, step by step. She looks like she's about to nod off. I can't see any, I don't know, I can't see the nyala anymore, and I can't see what else she was looking at. She might just be, she knows she's like the star of the show here, so I think she just might be leading us on. Have to keep the camera on her at all times. We're going to stay with her and see if she makes another move. We're going to head back over to the Mara and the unfolding of the giraffe drama.
Our mother giraffe is moving. She's slowly but surely moving further and further away from the calves, and the hyenas are remaining flat. And I wonder whether they're just trying to sort of stay hidden, stay flat, and appear like they're not interested, and hopefully encourage the mother to eventually leave. And then, of course, they will take the opportunity and go for the calf. That's why I feel potentially could be happening in front of us right now. And indeed, the saddest thing is right off in the distance in front of us, very, very far, we do have what looks like from here, Manu's going to give you a view of it, a giraffe, a mother giraffe and a calf right off in the distance there. It's a much larger giraffe and a smaller one, which just sort of emphasizes the sadness of this situation, as we have a giraffe here who was supposed to be... Oh, this giraffe is continuing her chase. She's really not giving up. She just keeps making circles and loops, sort of to chase away the hyenas and then come back again. Now we have a question, I'm sorry I didn't quite catch the name, about how soon will this giraffe come into estrus again. I'll just wait to see exactly who it was from. I shan't be rude and miss out the name. And indeed, the answer is I don't actually... Scratch? I think. No, okay, something like that. And indeed, I don't actually know the answer to that. How soon, again, will she come into estrus? Female giraffes normally become sexually mature around 4 years old, and it's a little bit later for males, which is normally around 7 years old. So I honestly don't know what would happen in this situation. Now, I think I've already mentioned it's a really long gestation period of 15 months. That's almost double human. Almost 15 months, the longest of any ruminant, and that's a really long time to carry a calf in your womb indeed. So I'm really not entirely sure how long it would be for this giraffe to come back into estrus, but it's a fantastic question and I definitely will find out the answer to that. And of course, as I mentioned, giraffes are very aloof. I quite like that word. They're aloof physically and they're very aloof in their habits with one another, so socially aloof, shall we say, and they don't really form lasting bonds with one another. So the word we use is gregarious, because they do tend to like to be in the company of one another. They like to be surrounded by other giraffes, but they don't tend to form lasting bonds or associations with one another. So this mother has obviously isolated herself, sort of removed herself in a private area to give birth, and indeed she has lost her calf. So as to when she'll come in estrus again, I really, really don't know. But thank you for that question. Indeed, I will check it out. And of course, there's just so many things that could have gone wrong here. And giraffes are designed in such a way because the birthing process is so difficult. So obviously they have these ossicones on the top of their head, not horns, ossicones. But actually when it's a newborn, when it's in the womb, these ossicones are actually made from cartilage and they're not attached to the skull. And the reason being is so that they can lie flat against the head to not injure the mother during birth. Then once the giraffe is obviously getting a little bit older, these ossicones will be erect on top of the head and they will start to ossify, which means they will eventually turn into bone and they will be fixed into place. But when they are in the womb and during the birthing process, they're actually not attached to the skull. So giraffes are adapted for a difficult birth, but of course, as with any animal, including humans, it can go wrong. And something has indeed gone wrong here. Now, the hyenas are remaining very, very inconspicuous. They're very flat. They almost sort of merge in with the rocks on the ground here. Angel's asking, could the mother giraffe also die? Now, with regards to the situation that's happening in front of us, the mother is indeed exhausting herself completely. There's no way that she will not be exhausted. With hyenas, the hyenas are so fast they will go into a feeding frenzy, and indeed the calf is very small, so what they will try to do is take the calf, move her a little bit, and then a real feeding frenzy will begin. If lions were to come in, I'm really not sure if the mother would put herself on the line for the calf. There is always the chance that she could risk death herself by putting herself right on the line like she's doing here, wearing herself thin, becoming exhausted. She's really not got the same energy that she had at the beginning of this whole scenario. There is a chance she may die herself, and that would just be the saddest thing of all. But of course, at this moment that isn't happening, but there's definitely a chance, Angel, that she could. Whether she intentionally is putting herself first, I couldn't possibly say, but indeed by just letting her energy levels drop like this, by becoming exhausted and bigger predators coming in, then she could indeed risk death herself, which would be the saddest thing of all. She's only trying to protect her calf at this very moment. And indeed, we have done a few IDs, so we do know that there is definitely members of the North Clan here. Now, of course, there's Waffles, there's Winchester, there's actually Waffles' son Hershey here, and there is Soup's daughter Lobby here. So that is Waffles' great-granddaughter. So we've managed to identify all those hyenas from the North Clan, and of course there is many other hyenas around as well. I am almost sure that I saw Ilovo, Waffles' own daughter, running around as well. So it does look like this is the North Clan here, just waiting it out for this young giraffe calf. Now hyenas will wait it out, and they will wait it out. They have the patience. But what I'm intrigued to see is that the calf is not big. It really does not look big at all. It's not going to last long for the number of hyenas that are indeed present here. So when that does happen, it will be interesting to see. But of course, we are going to wait it out a little bit longer. I cannot bring myself to leave just yet. But you guys are going to leave, and you're going to go back down to Jamie and her elephants.
All right, Lauren might not be able to tear herself away from that scene in the Mara. We've had to tear ourselves away from the elephants we had earlier, though, because they simply were not being cooperative. Fortunately, we've come along to a little pan, which is a little area with it's a sort of a muddy wallow with a bit of water in it. And we've come upon two bull elephants. And what's interesting here is that I think we might have interrupted a little argument. No, we can't have. Looking at the size of the elephant at the back, I don't think we did. Their body language is slightly alert, slightly uncomfortable. When I drove past the big bull earlier on my way up here, he gave us a proper head shake. I'm just going to sit patiently and wait and see if they come to us rather than trying to approach them. What's up, guys? So I think what we've got here is a case of almost mentorship. that you sometimes find with elephant bulls. And what you'll see is that once elephant bulls are kicked out of their herd, or perhaps just leave naturally as the instinct takes them, they find themselves quite lonely and longing for company, and often what they'll do is they will spend a bit of time with a much older, much larger bull. And just look at the size difference here between what is essentially a recent adolescent elephant. So he's just reached adulthood. He's probably, I would guess, I would put him somewhere around the 13, 15 mark. It's a bit of a guess, but somewhere around there. I think even 15 seems a little bit old. And then you look at the elephant behind him, who is even further away from him, but is now that elephant's probably 20, 25 or so. You can see how much growth that little one still has to go through before he even vaguely reaches the size of a proper bull elephant in his prime. And it gives you an understanding of cute. Is your ear itchy? Yes. And behind that one, does that feel? I bet that feels nice. I bet it feels like cleaning your ears with a Q-tip or something. I bet it feels wonderful. A little bit of displacement behavior there as well, because he's actually quite anxious. You can see from his body language the sort of anxious movements of his trunk. Oh, what I was going to say is you can see how an elephant bull doesn't actually really have a chance of mating with a female until he's around about 30 years old, because there is such a massive size difference here. And that's, even then, the elephant behind this one is not actually that large. So their chances of being able to compete with a big bull that's had an extra 10 years of growth on them are very, very small. You can also see why elephant mating has to be quite short, because that small elephant is about the size of a cow when she experiences her first estrus cycle. Hey guys, you know what I'm going to do? Just bear with me. I'm going to move around because I just have a feeling about this chap. And we're between him and the water, and I want to get a nice shot. So let me just move around while I have the opportunity before he's too close. Hey guys, you thirsty? Something just says cheek in that elephant. Let's go around this way. So we've got a nice sunlit shot of them drinking. Now, Mina Moo, let me get ahead of this, Ellie. They really are thirsty. That was a good call. Mina Moo wants to know if elephants go off to die. Sort of. So what often happens, it depends on if you're talking about a male or a female elephant. Actually, Mina Moo, can you hold off on that question for 1 second? Because it might be nice to listen to them drinking. Let's just hold that answer for just a little moment. He's siphoning the muddy water away. There we go. Sorry about the wind, everyone. Can't turn it off, unfortunately. How's it sounding first? Is that wind a bit overwhelming? Or can I stay quiet for a bit? Nice moment of peace before he comes to give us some cheek. what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. Yes. Just you drink your water and be a good boy. See that indecision? Rocking backwards, forwards. This big scary. It's going to be an impressive ball. I don't go take it out on him. Didn't do anything to you. You didn't even want to drink there. You're just being a bully. I know, little one. I know. And I know that right now you would also like to pretend that you're big and scary because we've all seen you being pushed around. And as for you, I know. I know, boy. All these hormones, hey? Yes, all the hormones. All the hormones. Hello, my boy. What's up? I'm just sitting here. Go terrorize some impart. Hey! Cool. Sorry, my boy. Yes? Are we done? I think we're done. Cool. Now, the reason that I raise my voice like that is not because I want to shout at an elephant. This is just for our new viewers. Not because I want to shout at him or because he is going to hurt us. It's stopping that behavior before it becomes out of control. So elephants are intelligent enough to recognize that between them and us there is a communication. They know that we have personal space and they have personal space. We hadn't invaded theirs. He decided he wanted to come this way and come and look big and strong. So that's just to teach him that he's not allowed to come, and that we read his body language, we see what he's saying, and that he's not allowed to actually do that. And the reason that we establish those boundaries, and we need to establish those boundaries, especially with an Ellie bull who's going to be big. He's going to be a really, really big elephant. I'm just checking to make sure that he's not going to creep round. He's not. I think he got a fright. My voice came out a little louder than intended, to be completely honest with you. I wasn't intending to. You know when your voice goes a bit higher than you meant it to. So what we don't want is him learning. Janet says, "I, JV, hear me roar." I know that was a bit excessive. That didn't actually mean for it to come out quite so loudly. I underestimated the sheer power of my lungs there. But what I don't want him to do is to learn that he can behave like that. And that he can approach vehicles in that way. Because what happens is you get the wrong person. Some innocent guy driving his truck who then all of a sudden drives away from the elephant, and then you get a situation where bad habits start to form, and all of a sudden you have a Daryl situation. And the Daryl situation, as much as we talk about it with great affection, is actually could be quite a serious one, because he's learned some very, very bad habits, and he is too comfortable with people both on foot and in the vehicle, and he doesn't have boundaries. And that's because people have behaved badly around him. That's not because he's a naughty elephant or he's a badly behaved elephant. So that's just explaining, especially for our newer viewers, why I behaved in the way I did. What you can do if you reverse away from a situation like that, especially with a young elephant, is you can actually encourage a full charge. Miss Anamandra said that I scared her. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It was, I admit, a slightly unnecessarily loud shout. I really didn't intend it to come out quite so explosively. I mean, it's just weeks of various frustrations built up. You just happened to catch the loud end of my voice. I'm not exactly a loud person at the best of times. Huh. Quite cathartic, actually. Sorry, mister. Yes, but you were being naughty. I know. Tough being an elephant ball. But we could see from his behavior that he was thinking about it. What was I talking about? Oh, Minamu's question. Do elephants go off to die? They don't exactly go off to die. As you know, they only have 6 sets of molars in their entire lives, meaning that by the 6th set, when they're about 60 years old, sometimes a bit younger for the males, they wear those teeth down through constant chewing, and they've got nothing left to really chew with. That means that their digestive system doesn't function particularly well, and as a result, they just slowly lose condition until their body can no longer really support them. And at that point, you know, they're feeding much slower than the rest of the herd in the case of females. And for big males, they do often move off on their own because they're quite slow. They need to chew a lot. They usually go down to the rivers where the food is nice and soft and there's nice soft grass around. And from there, they often die in riverbeds, hence the story of the elephant graveyards. Because what happens when an elephant dies is an elephant is more likely to die near a river than not. And what will happen is when the river floods, the bones collect and they sink down into a sort of a bend in the river or something like that. It doesn't mean that elephants don't die away from rivers. It's just one of those places that it is more common to see elephant carcasses. Do elephants come and investigate the dead? Yes, they do. Do they know that it's a fallen elephant? Yes, I think that they do. Even old carcasses, I suspect that they do. Don't know how they would, though. We don't really, there's no way for us to know exactly what's going on in their minds, which means that we have to approach something like that with an open mind as well. You know, I'm pretty certain that they'd know that a fresh elephant carcass was an elephant. Would they know that the thigh bone of an elephant is an elephant? I don't know. Perhaps. Certainly wouldn't be able to tell by the smell. I wouldn't have thought after a certain period of time. He's nice and relaxed now. He's feeding. It's not as though we've sent him scuttling off for the safety of the Timbavati or something. Mario wants to know if that approach works, or raising my voice would work for other animals. Yes, it does. If you think about it, animals communicate in a very visceral way. Size and sound are the way that they communicate, and body language. So it would work. It doesn't always work. There are certain circumstances where it is just, and I will always choose that way if I can, where discretion is the better part of valor, so to speak. So, you know, you can see an elephant herd is very upset. And in that case, you move away immediately. And I would behave very, very differently if that had been a cow. I actually would have sat quite still. If that had been a cow, I probably wouldn't even have raised my voice. Because in that case, you've got females looking after babies. So you've really got to gauge it on a case-by-case basis. I've had to shout at a few things in my time. It works quite well on buffalo, elephant, and rhino. Lions as well, in a very scary situation if you've got them close to you on foot. Hi, guys. Yes, it also works on humans. Some humans, certainly. Not a very shouty person. Shame, boys. And you, little one? You've got such a bully there. He's a proper bully. I think he's about to experience his first must cycle. That's what I think's going on. And he's just being horrible. Those of you with teenagers, you know how teenagers can, not all teenagers, but you know how a lot of teenagers can just really be quite horrible. You've got no idea, and they've got no idea why they're being horrible. That's him. Okay. I think we're going to leave our Ellie bull. Go and search for... What should we search for? I think we'll search for Tingana. I wonder if he's following on behind an elephant herd. I haven't seen any more tracks around here, but I might just do a loop around just to see. The other way that I could have handled that situation if I didn't have a microphone in my hat would be to lift my hat. It works well. Obviously, if you are not really familiar with elephant behavior and you're not comfortable, I'm not trying to teach you how to behave in a situation like that because, you know, I can't give advice in that way. But if you're in Kruger or something, you know, it's better if you don't feel safe to move away from an elephant. But lifting your hat breaks the outline of the vehicle and they pick up on it. Now, I can't do that. I've got a strap attached here and a microphone there. So I can't do that anymore, but it does help. All right. We're going to go see what else we can find. In the meantime, I wonder whether or not Rusty heard me shouting from where he is with Tlalamba.
Jamie's going to lift her hat up to an elephant. That does actually work, but I think she might need something bigger than a hat. She needs to basically stand on her seat and maybe make more of a chance to show herself. She's not exactly the most biggest person in the world. But, oh, that's a big yawn, girl. Well, welcome back to the most patient leopard hunt we have going. She is taking each step very gently. We just maneuvered the vehicle because she moved herself just to the edge of the grass on the drainage line. So just in front of her, she's got quite a bit of a gap where she's going to expose herself. Now, she is trying to get closer to the Nyala, which is to the right of us, which is... Okay, now I've lost sight of them as well. So they're up there somewhere, but actually, no. You can just go in. It's a very hard. Like, Nyala is also designed to be very camouflaged. They've got what we call disruptive markings that breaks them up in the camouflage of the bush. So it's even for us, it's very hard to see. Until you see a movement or flick of a tail or flick of an ear, then you're like, okay, there she is, or he is. But yeah. So I think she's just more curious about them now than actually going to hunt them. Oh, who knows? I can't speak for her, but look at that picture. Look how well she blends in, just even with zoomed in. Now, Puma, how do I deal with cheeky elephants on horseback? Well, Jamie is sitting in the vehicle and flapping a hat. You can also do that while you're walking, I suppose. But on horseback, we do have certain procedures. If the elephant does not push off when we push the horse towards it, or it is giving us a showdown, there's a number of different ways and means of doing that. I don't actually feel like coming to me while she's right here, but we'll obviously keep a close eye on her. But yes, the elephant will, if it is quite a problem elephant, it keeps coming backwards and forwards, then we'll shout at it, give it a warning, because obviously it's trying to be big and with the ears flapping, it tries to make itself big. Obviously sitting on the horse and by shouting, that's another way of deterring it. If that doesn't work, we end up pushing the horse very fast towards and getting even louder. Just obviously using very nice language. Depends what's happening at the time. You don't mind what you're saying as long as it's loud and very disruptive. Obviously you have to like almost make the elephant step back. If you step back, then the elephant knows it's covering ground, so you have to keep pushing forward. By that time, if that doesn't work and it keeps coming forward, we do carry a bullwhip. And that is another process of trying to push it off. The bullwhip, we don't hit the elephant with it, we just crack it. Because we don't want to use, we do have to carry firearms, but it's just by law that we carry one. We don't want to use it. And if we do use it, then I've done something wrong. So the whip we crack, it gives a loud, we sometimes shake the whip in the air just to make more of a distraction, and that sometimes works. If not, we crack it once or twice, and in the direction of the animal, and that usually, after the first crack, it's that sound, crack of the sound barrier, It's a very loud crack, and in the direction of the animal. Elephants have got very sensitive ears. A lot of animals do. They don't have earphones stuck in their ears half the time and listening to loud TV or going to raves. So they've got very sensitive ears. So with a crack like that, the elephant generally will push off. If that doesn't happen, then you need 1 or 2 more cracks. And if that doesn't work, then we use a bear banger. Now, a lot of you in the United States might know what a bear banger is. It's in a flare that explodes, and it's not to hurt the animal, it's just a very loud bang. It does shoot up to 30 meters, so you have to use it very wisely, and it has to be under very serious conditions. I've only ever used it twice, so it's not a big problem. We just we just watch the elephant's behavior. You know when they don't want you there. You know when it's got a problem, then you back off. Okay, shh. She's making a move. I was like shushing myself. But we're just gonna watch her for a bit. Yep. Look at that focus. Look at that focus. She is so tuned in. Every movement, any chance that animal moves, turns her back towards her, she's going to make that move. She has to break quite a big distance here. She has to break cover here for probably about 5 meters. And that's going to really show her quite clearly. So she really has to play this really cool. She has to think back on her previous hunts. It's all experience. All past experience will lead her to become an efficient hunter. So even if she'll find out that these animals are way too big for her, at least the training will guide her in the right direction. I have to say, I think this is the longest I've ever spent with a leopard. And I get to choose her. Well, I didn't choose her, we actually just found her. And she's been an absolute star today. Although this is the longest stalk I've ever been on, it is quite a privilege to spend the time with her. She is absolutely stunning. Yes, I agree with you. That just came through on radio. It's like this is the longest stalk anybody has been on. Yeah, she concentrates. As soon as the animal turns around, she gets up and she decides her next move, and then the animal keeps feeding. The nyala keeps feeding, and then she relaxes again. Now we've got a close-up on her face. If anyone was watching this morning's the sunrise safari, or even yesterday, the sunset safari yesterday, she was covered with ticks, fat, blood-filled ticks. And she had almost like an eyebrow piercing of a tick that was there, and she annoyed all of us because all we wanted to do was like reach over and pull it off. But we obviously can't do that. But when we first bumped into her this afternoon, she was scratching a lot, and all these ticks were almost timed to fall off and lay eggs in the ground. So they were actually full of her blood for the eggs to develop and be laid underground. So once ticks reach that size, they generally fall off on their own. But you see, the male and female tick mate on the host, being this leopard. So although the females have fallen off, the males are still on there, and they're moving around. It's very hard to see. They're small black, I think they're called buffalo ticks. I'm not too sure what the exact name is for these ticks. But she's in very good condition, so she has no worry to be in a way affected by that many ticks. It's only when she becomes weak or gets sick by something, then these ticks become a big problem and end up taking everything out of her. And actually, it could lead to death. But now she's absolutely 100% in very good health. The ticks are just doing what ticks do on all the animals: suck blood, fall off, lay eggs, and start the process all over again. So she is looking a lot better than I saw her last night and yesterday morning. She's got a lot less ticks on her. But even now lying in that grass, she could have collected 1 or 2 more. And they're going to start that whole sucking process. Yeah, she's making the most of that cover. that grass cover. Now, just like that, just how difficult she is to see. I know because obviously we zoomed in on her, but if you zoom out, look at that. She's gone. She's absolutely gone. And she's not even, she's probably about 6 meters, 5 meters from the vehicle. Tell me that is nature at its best. Ah. Okay, well, while she plays it cool and shows us how it's done in a very slow motion, we're going to head back to the unfoldings of the Mara with Lauren.
My emotions are everywhere, and the scene, to be honest, is not really changed. Soup has indeed joined the party, however, the situation in general has not really changed. So the mother is still standing guard, and the hyenas are still trying everything they can to get closer and closer. Now, what's surprising me is indeed the jackal, who has not made any attempt to get any closer. Now, from my experience with jackals out here, they are smart, they are swift, and they are fast. They've got their small size to their advantage. They can swoop in, steal a bit of whatever it may be, and run away quicker than lightning. And this jackal, or these jackals, there is two, have chosen not to do that. And I think it shows that the giraffe mother does have some stance here, just because of her size. Purely because of her size, it's keeping the hyenas at bay a little bit, and it is keeping the jackals away also. So that is indeed what we're facing here right now. Now the hyenas are sort of running back and forth. They're desperate to get to that calf. It's just not worth it with this mother continually chasing them away. Now, we did have a question earlier regarding, does a giraffe come back into estrus? And Giraffe Girl herself, so thank you so much for this, has said that it will take 5 months approximately for a giraffe to come back into estrus. And to be honest, that would make sense. With most mammals, if they do lose offspring, I guess including humans, it doesn't take long before they are able to get pregnant again. And that is, of course, just the natural cycle of life. So 5 months for a giraffe possibly would make sense for it to come back into estrus. And of course, that would be signalled by scent, and the lone males that sort of wander from herd to herd would indeed pick up on that scent and know that the female was coming back into estrus. So thank you so much for that, Giraffe Girl. It's definitely something that I hadn't thought of before, but within mammals, reproduction is one of the most important things. It is indeed a survival strategy, and to come back into estrus pretty soon after either having offspring or having and losing offspring would indeed make sense. Now this hyena is getting very, very close. It's actually surprises me how close they are getting to this giraffe, and the hyenas did indeed pull the calf completely out of our line of sight, just behind this termite mound. So we haven't got a great view at the calf itself, but of course we have got a view of where the mother is and where she keeps bending down to tend to it. So although the situation is really not unfolding so much, it does give us a great indication of how much this mother is willing to withstand. Even just by being here and observing what's going on between the hyenas, the jackals and the mother giraffe, it is giving us a much deeper insight into how this mother is willing to stand guard and protect her calf. I'm not even sure if she would do it all night. There's a high chance she would if she could. Maternal instincts are very powerful within mammals and even in other animals that are not mammals, to be honest. It's a maternal drive, and this giraffe does not want to leave this calf, no matter what is going on. And as unpleasant as it sounds, the giraffe calf is not whole. The hyenas have managed to get into it and have managed to pull some of the insides out. So even although the mother is standing above it, we know indeed that the calf is not whole at all, and it is obviously open in some respects, which makes this sighting even just a little bit harder. But time is the only factor here. I just don't know how long this is going to go on for. And if you do spot another vehicle just off in the distance there, that is indeed the hyena research team who are here to monitor the North Clan. As it does appear, it is mostly the North Clan, and Soup, the current matriarch, has indeed made an appearance. So I do apologise about the vehicle. It's not in an ideal position. However, if you have spotted it, that is exactly who it is there. Now, we've seen lots of greeting ceremonies from the hyenas themselves. So a lot of them are here. A lot of them are from the North Clan. I cannot say they all are at this current moment, but it's likely that they are. And there's lots of greeting ceremonies going on, establishing who is dominant here, who is submissive. And once they really get access to the calf, it's really going to turn into a frenzy. Generally, there is sort of a hierarchy at a carcass, and the more dominant hyenas indeed will get the privilege to feed first and eat first from a carcass. So if this indeed does happen during our time here, it will be interesting to see how this many hyenas do handle taking on this very, very small calf. Now that is, of course, if the mother does indeed let up, which I'm just not entirely sure she will. Now, she will go on to mate again, and she will go on to have more offspring. But for now, she's going through a period of loss. And of course, I guess once she eventually does leave, there will be a process time, and she will get over that. Will move on, and hopefully she will have more offspring. Now, I know many of you are questioning the age of this giraffe, and I can't possibly say from looking at this giraffe from this distance exactly how old she is. Normally size is a good indication when it comes to giraffes, and the coloration of their patches. Giraffes obviously have patches on their skin, and there is a sort of rule of thumb that the darker they get, the older they get. But that isn't entirely the case. It's just a sort of rule of thumb. On average, the darker the patches sort of denotes exactly, not exactly, but how older the giraffe will be. Now, at this distance, unfortunately, I cannot say how old she is, but there is potential she is younger. And of course, there is a chance that this indeed could have been her first offspring. So we're not going anywhere. It's just too important that we find out how this situation unravels. But you are going to go back down to Jamie in South Africa.
Okay, I don't have as much to tell you about as Lauren does. I just heard some frantic little squeaking from underneath this bush, and I was hoping that perhaps the dwarf mongoose might treat us to a sighting, but apparently not. Now I can't even hear them, Craig. Definitely heard them, though. Now, one thing I'm looking forward to with the arrival of the dry season is the clearing of the grass, and therefore the increasing number of pleasant sightings with things like dwarf mongoose and steenbok, and you can actually see them during the dry season. Oh, warm again. It was cold a second ago. I wonder where... It's sort of bedtime for the dwarf mongoose, so I was hoping they might be all gathered together at the entrance to the termite mound, as they so often do. But nope, they must have heard me shouting. Don't want to mess with her. Ran away instantly. Mike wants to know if our backs ever hurt from ducking out of view from the camera during a sighting. Our backs do hurt, not as much as the cameramen do. I have to say the cameramen have it far rougher where they are sitting at the back, because they obviously have the bounce of the back. Plus, they have to sit upright all the time because they can't lean back. on the back of the car. So I really feel as though the cameramen have more cause to complain when it comes to sawbacks. They also have to, when they do the bushwalk, they have to carry the bushwalk backpack. But you know, the funny thing about having to duck out of... I love this story. I tell it often. My favorite question I've ever received was, why do the guides duck whenever they see the animals coming? Are they scared of them? Because, of course, someone was seeing the leopards or whatever coming to the front of the car, and then all of a sudden the guide would go, "Foomp," like this, so that the cameraman could film over our heads. And we don't stick our heads in the shot. And someone obviously interpreted that as we're terrified of the animals, which is not the case. And certainly ducking down to hide would not increase your chances, even if we were terrified of the animals. So backs getting sore, I think most of us are quite good at looking after our backs. I mean, we'll exercise and stretch and so on, because we do spend a lot of time in the vehicles. It's easy for people like myself, Trishala, James, because we are not big people, so we're not cramped up. Land Rovers are notoriously, I mean, the brand of car that we use, that it remains nameless, are notoriously quite small. And for people like Tristan, for Rusty, they have to sort of fold double. Brent moaned constantly because, of course, he has his sore hip as well. So to be cramped up in the front of the Land Rover for long periods of time does get a little bit uncomfortable. People have to get out and stretch. But I'm okay. Honestly, I find it's very easy to tell when Tristan's been driving because the back of the seat goes like this. He drives like this. Whenever I get into the car, I know that I have to pull the seat back up, because I'd much rather sit with my back upright. But I can, because I'm small. No, can't really complain too much. Twisty necks every now and again, turning back to the camera. Mr. Tech wants to know if the cameramen have ever urged us to run or leave an approaching animal. To my memory, not with me. But that's not a statement about me, that's a statement about the sightings I've had. They've always been under control. The one time I can think of was in the Stampede with the wildebeest, where VM was very keen to get out of there. But to be honest, at that point, so was I. And that was in the Mara 2 years ago. We were both very keen to leave. But we have to also factor in that the cameramen are our responsibility first and foremost in terms of safety out here. So the equipment, everything else is replaceable, but Craig is not. So we do take into consideration their feelings about a situation as well. We don't ever want to put them in a scenario where they're scared and they don't feel comfortable. A leopard walked past here and they don't feel comfortable in the position that they're in. We never ever want to create that scenario, so we will always avoid it. So again, basically, it's all about never pushing it, never pushing your luck. He deposited a nice pile of scat there. His tracks are invisible. I just saw them a moment ago. My money is on Hukumuri. Okay, well, I mean, I'm sure you'd much rather look at a leopard than a pile of leopard scat, so off you pop back across to Tlalamba.
She's on the move. Now she literally almost went underneath the vehicle. But she ran in front of the vehicle, quite low down, and now just above the bank is where the nyalas are. I don't think they saw her. Now there's 3 nyalas up there. Nope. She's been spotted. Decisions to make. The nyalas have seen her. Still standing, not sure. The Nyalas are looking at different directions. Oh, I've lost track of her now. They're probably about 10 yards in front of her. That's the closest she's been in the last hour. Every step has counted for this. One wrong move, and they're gone. One wrong step. One broken branch. I think the Nyalas smelt her, because none of them are looking at her. They just turned their backs to her, walking gently or slowly down the other side of the bank. We can't actually see them with the camera, but we're going to keep a close eye on her. It might... Oop, they're actually back to feeding. But she's got through the worst part. She's not moving, just her ears are flicking the flies away. But she's actually a very peculiar spot, if that's even a word. She's got this tiny gap she has to get past just in front of her, where it's also going to expose her. I think she's going to be in a big surprise when she comes over the top of the hill and realizes they are way too big for her. As much as I want to move the vehicle forward, this is just... I just don't want to interrupt her. So if you can't hear me, I do apologize. But if I speak any louder, she might get distracted, or at least the Nyalas will get distracted. It's a make or break, girl. You've been keeping us on the edge of our seats for pretty much the whole afternoon, since the start of the drive. Joy, will the Nyala be barking at the other another predator? Highly unlikely, but it's not impossible. It's too much the circumstances. I'm pretty much set there. I think they smelt her rather than saw her. If they had seen her, they would have run away. And none of them are looking in her direction. So I don't think it was any other predator around. I think it is her. I think her scent is... Like I said, we're in this drainage line where the wind is circling. So there's not a direct wind from her to the animal. And cats know how to hunt with the wind, to not let their smell get carried with the wind down to the prey that they're trying to catch. They know how to work in their favor, let the wind work in their favor. Come on, girl. Make that decision. I'm rooting for you. So there's 3 adult Nyalas. One is a full-grown male, one's about a 2-year-old, and another one's about a year-old one. I'm hoping she's going to make the right decision. No, I think. As with most predators, check that, it's the precision. She's just gone behind the bushes. I can't start the vehicle and move. You can just see the dappled spots through the trees. I cannot move the vehicle right now. She's probably almost 5 meters away from them now. very difficult to say what's going to happen next. So yeah, we'll just see. We just have to wait that out and see what happens next. Like I said, I can't move the vehicle. She's just waiting. She can't move. I don't. Okay, well, we're going to stay with her for a bit longer. We're going to let you go over to Jamie, who's going to welcome in a school group that's coming in now.
Hello, hello, and welcome to the students from Yarmouth Elementary joining us this evening. I hope you're all super excited to go on safari. My name is Jamie, and this evening Craig is hiding behind the camera. And when we go out on safari, sometimes we encounter roadblocks, but it's not the typical roadblock that you might expect driving around in a city. This has been caused by elephants. And what elephants have done is they've pushed over this massive tree. Looks like a false marula to me. It's a tree called a false marula, but I'm sure you're not too worried about knowing that. And the reason that they've done that is because they really wanted to get to the best, juiciest leaves right at the top. So instead of stretching all the way up and trying to pluck little individual leaves, they've pushed the tree right over. And that just goes to show just how strong elephants are. Because if you have a look, those are the branches that they've chewed off. This has happened quite a while ago, so it's not fresh. But if you have a look at the root system, you can see how thick and strong those roots are. And the elephants have actually pushed their whole body weight up against the tree. So that's what the safari is all about. It's all about learning about the different animals out here because it's live. In other words, it's happening right here. For you guys, it's the morning, but for us, it's the evening. Because it's live, what that means is that you can think up all sorts of questions on the animals that you get to see, and you can send them through to us and we can actually answer them for you. So it's quite an exciting thing that way. Now, my plan is not to look for trees, I promise. So while we drive along, Michaela and Vivian want to know how many animals there are in Africa. I think I heard that correctly. Wow, that is too many for me to even think about counting. Do you mean animal species or do you mean individual animals? Because where I am at the moment, I'm in a place in South Africa which is called the Greater Kruger Park. So it's a really, really big area, the size of some states. And there are, for example, 100,000, roughly, types, or there's 100,000 impala, which is a type of antelope. So that's just one species of antelope. There's about 100,000 of them running around. There's probably around about 2,000 lions, maybe about 2,000 leopards, give or take. We don't have exact, accurate numbers. Close on 20,000, 25,000 elephants out here. Who knows how many buffalo there are? I don't. Lots. Lots and lots of buffalo, lots of hippo. So to count each and every individual animal would be quite difficult. Throughout Africa, also, even if we just do species, it would be... Remember, Africa's enormous. It's a massive continent. There would be too many species for me to think about counting because animals can include birds, it can include insects. So there's around about... How many is it now? 75 or so species of antelope in the whole of Africa. Then there's a large number of predators. Then there's things like elephants, hippos, rhinos, crocodiles, fish. So I'd have to be counting for quite a long time before I manage to count all of the different animals in Africa. All right, now quite a few of those animals are found in an amazing place called the Masai Mara, and luckily for you, Lauren is there right now.
Welcome everybody to the Masai Mara in Kenya. This is indeed a different country from where Jamie is. We are up north of Africa in a country called Kenya. Now, we have two different types of animals with us right now. One is a giraffe, and there's many, many hyenas surrounding this giraffe. So it's a very, very interesting thing to watch right now, the interactions between this giraffe and indeed all these hyenas surrounding it. So hi everybody, my name is Lauren and I do have Manu on camera today, and we're watching everything very closely. Now you might notice we're in black and white. This is because we are 1 hour ahead of South Africa and our sun is already starting to set and we're losing light, so we're using a very, very special camera that allows us to see in the dark without using any artificial light for the animals. Now, boys and girls, something very sad has happened here, and indeed this mother giraffe has had a baby giraffe today, and unfortunately that baby giraffe did not make it. So underneath the mother there is a baby giraffe who unfortunately has died. And it's very, very sad, but that is the circle of life out here in Africa, and that is sometimes how life works. So all these hyenas that are round about, there's many, many hyenas, young ones, older ones, all from the same clan, all from the same family, and they are all coming to investigate what has happened with this mummy giraffe. Now the hyenas are looking a bit disinterested at the minute, and they're lying flat, investigating and annoying one another, which is what hyenas do, but they are interested in what is going on. Colby's asking a very interesting question. Can a hyena kill a giraffe? Now, most likely, no, they cannot. An adult giraffe, like this female here, is indeed very large. Now, she probably comes in at about between 700 to 900 kilograms, so somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 pounds. So she's very, very heavy and very, very tall. She's the tallest of all the land mammals, and I don't think a hyena could indeed kill an adult. But a young giraffe, possibly a newborn or maybe a few weeks old, they're much, much smaller and they're much more vulnerable. So indeed the hyenas could go for a young giraffe, but that is not what has happened here. The mother giraffe had a little bit of complications during birth. Annalise is asking, how do the animals get along with each other? Oh, what an interesting question. Where do we start, Annalise? Well, every animal out here, every animal everywhere in the world, to be honest, is trying to survive and fight for itself. Every animal has to look after itself, like this giraffe is doing, and it's trying to protect its young that it just gave birth to. Now, there's many, many predators out here, and we call them carnivores, and that means that they eat meat, they eat other animals. So all the carnivores are in competition with one another, and they regularly steal from one another as well. Then you get other animals like giraffes and zebra and many, many antelopes that are indeed herbivores, meaning that they only eat plants and grass. And of course, they avoid competition with one another. They avoid each other, and they try to just survive out here by eating the grass and sticking to their own kind. So many animals out here have to protect themselves. It's a big bad world for the animals, and they've got to survive and thrive out here. So most of the animals stick to their own species. You will find giraffes with giraffes, zebras with zebras, hyenas with hyenas, and that's how it does work down here. So I am going to send you down to South Africa to someone who I didn't quite catch, but let's make it a surprise and see what they have in store for you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're enjoying your day in class. I am certainly enjoying mine at the moment. I am not in class, but this is part of it. It's part of the work we do. But right in front of me, we have the most prettiest cat we have in Africa. Well, it also lines up with cheetah and lion, but this is a female leopard we know very well. Her name is Talamba, but also we know her better as Princess Talamba. She was born here, and we've been following her for almost a year and a half. And now she's fully independent and hunting out on her own. We have spent a long time this afternoon with her, and she was on the hunt for Nyala this afternoon, which we spent almost an hour with her. She's still learning, so although she hunts very well at herself, she's still very unsure about taking larger animals. But at this age, she's still trying out new things. Nico, how many spots do leopards have? If we go out with a camera, can we let you count them individually? How many do you think they have? Because I do not know. Every leopard is different, and all of them have different amount of spots. So it's very hard to say. It's definitely more than 10, probably less than 1,000. But I am not going to start counting because my math is not very good, and I don't think she won't stay still long enough for me to count that. But definitely, it's like, how many hairs do you have on your head? It's very hard to say. But it's like your fingerprint. A leopard has a very different print. Each leopard is very different. But yet they are very beautiful and special creatures. She has got quite a nice advantage point here. She's actually overlooking a drainage line that's quite high up, so she can monitor and watch anything that comes along. Her eyesight is very good, both in the daytime and in the nighttime. And out here in South Africa, this is almost late evening, so it is soon going to be dark. Lila, how smart is a leopard? Is that the right question?
I think so, yeah.
How smart is a leopard? Well, leopards are very intelligent. Very, very intelligent animals. They learn very quickly from their mothers. They learn to adapt to their environments very quickly. They live in all sorts of different areas. This is a semi-bushveld area. Then they can live in jungles. They can live in semi-desert areas. They can live in mountains. I wouldn't say up in like mountains where it's ice cold. I don't think they'll be up there. Some parts of the world, some types of leopard can live in. You get the snow leopard that lives up in the snow mountains of. I'm not too sure where the snow leopards are from. But other leopards, just coming right past the car. Let me duck my head. Isn't she beautiful? So yes, they are very, very intelligent creatures. Very adaptable to any environment they live in. They can eat everything from like rabbits all the way up to our largest antelopes that we have here. A male leopard, which you can see even with Lauren up in the Mara, you see that baby giraffe. A male leopard will take down one of them for food as well. Okay. Well, as we follow this spotted beauty as she continues on her evening, we are going to link you over to Jamie at the hyena den.
Lots of spotted cuties on an evening walk this evening. We've come to the hyena clan den, which is one of my favorite places in the entire world. But unfortunately, everyone's feeling a little bit sleepy today. So that over there, with his bottom disappearing in, looks as though it is a hyena we call Plonk. And there's actually quite a few hyena cubs in this den site. So let me tell you a little bit about spotted hyenas. Spotted hyenas, when they have their babies, will often group together with the various other members of the clan, and they will raise their babies together in den sites, just like this one. In this case, this is a massive termite mound with some really big holes in it, and the little hyena cubs will hide away in those holes, and that's the way that they stay safe. So hyenas live in clans, which is a collection of the females and their offspring, as well as a couple of males as well. So they all group together, and the reason that we spend so much time at the den is because you don't really often see lots and lots of hyenas all together. Of course, you've seen in the Mara with Lauren, sometimes you do, but most of the time you see them in ones or twos on their own. Now, and you can't be on your own if you're in a pair. But anyway, you know what I mean. They're usually on their own or with one or two others. Now, Zayla, you want to know how many hyenas stay in a clan, Zayla? It can be really, really different depending upon where you are. So in this area, this clan is actually quite small, and I think there's only around about 15 to 20 clan members that we know of. But in the Masai Mara, the clans there are absolutely enormous and can number up to 80 individuals, sometimes even 100 different spotted hyenas all living together in a clan. Now, a den site like this is basically there where they all gather together to greet each other. So even if they don't have babies, they'll sometimes come to visit just to fit back in with the clan's social structure. Now, normally I wouldn't be here because there's just a baby that we can see. This one's a couple of months old, but there is actually a female here. Unfortunately, though, it looks as though she's going to move out on her nightly hunting mission. So spotted hyenas do hunt as well as scavenge. Now, this particular female's name is Ribbon. And because Ribbon was the only adult female at the den, what that means is that as she leaves, I have to leave too. Now, she's wandered off past, giving us a good opportunity while we move away from the den to answer Ella's question. Ella wants to know how big hyenas are. So, Ella, they are big animals. They're apex predators. In other words, they're one of the predators that is right at the top of the hierarchy, as well as playing a very important role in shaping their landscape. In terms of dogs, if you think about a big Rottweiler, that would be, or maybe not the biggest Rottweiler, but maybe a female Rottweiler. Bye-bye. Have a good evening. I can't stay with you, I'm afraid. I'll explain why in a second. So, yeah, a Rottweiler, give or take, would be a really big female hyena. Very, very strong jaws. So up to 70 kilograms around about. So 140 plus pounds. They can be bigger than that, and they can also be smaller than that. Generally, the males are smaller than the females because the females have better access to food. But that doesn't always apply. Now, the reason that I'm leaving is because hyena cubs are super curious, and they're quite vulnerable when they're this age. There's a lot of things out here that would want to kill a hyena cub. A lion, for example, or a leopard. And if the hyena cubs see me there, then they feel safe, then they come out to say hello. And if there's no parents around, they could be easily distracted, and they're not as alert as the adults. And I don't want them to get caught unawares coming out to say hello to me. So it just means that we have to leave them for now. Roadblock. And go off in search of other things. Let us go and see what else we can find. Not that way. Go look this way instead. I think there's a good chance that there might be some hyena further up ahead. Alright, while I go off across to check out what else is happening around here, Lauren hasn't had to move all that far this afternoon. She's been riveted in her seat.
So Mummy Giraffe is staying very close. She hasn't moved much in the past little while, and of course there's lots and lots of hyenas around, and we actually know many of these hyenas, just like they know the hyenas down in South Africa. We know many of these hyenas as well, and most of them are from the North Clan, and many of them are actually related to each other. Mothers, daughters, sons, grandchildren, and even great-grandchildren are all here lying down next to this very, very tall giraffe. Now, nighttime really is starting to fall here. We've got a little bit light left, but unfortunately not much. So we're almost in the dark. And sometimes other animals can actually join in, and there's a chance we could even see some lions. So that's why we're staying here with this giraffe to see what happens. Simon's asking how fast can hyenas run. Oh my goodness, I'm not even sure I know I have a speed for that. But believe it or not, they look very awkward, don't they? They have this sloping back. They have a very, very strange look about them, hyenas. But they are, in fact, very, very muscly. And they're very powerful. So when they do want to run, they can indeed run very, very fast. And it's more like a gallop. They sort of gallop when they're running because their back legs are not as strong as their front legs. Their front legs have got all the power, and their back legs are, of course, a little bit weaker, which means they gallop when they sort of run. But how fast they can run, I'm really not entirely sure. But Jamie down in South Africa might indeed be able to answer that. So we can ask her whenever we see her again. But I'm going to make a guess at around 60 kilometers per hour. They can get that fast when they're really, really chasing other animals. But they probably can't stay that fast for very long. But whenever we do go back down to Jamie, she will indeed answer your question. I am more than sure of that. But what a great question, and do keep them coming, because hyenas are indeed very, very fascinating animals. And look at that one walk. You see how unusual that walk is? You can spot a hyena from miles away, because indeed you just see this strange outline with this strange walk, and you know straight away it's a hyena. And I think I might have been right. I think it might be up to 60 kilometers per hour. Can you believe it? I got it right. But the way they walk and the way you see them now, they don't look like they can actually indeed move that fast, but they can. They're very efficient predators out here, and they can hunt, but they do also steal some food as well. Taylor's asking how much does a hyena eat in one day? Well, that's what's unique about these animals. They can eat a lot when they have something to eat. So if they have plenty of food, they can just continue eating and eating and eating. And sometimes when you see them, they get very, very fat. They almost look like they're going to explode because they have eaten so much food. But what is special about hyenas is that they can actually eat almost anything. And it doesn't sound very nice, but they can actually crunch through bones. And hyenas are very famous for eating bones. So they have that sort of powerful jaws, and I think they can eat up to about 14 kilograms, which is about 32 pounds per meal. So can you imagine eating 32 pounds for your breakfast, then again for your dinner at night? That is a lot of food, isn't it? So these hyenas really, really can eat. But if they're very, very full, then they don't need to eat every single day. Hyenas are very, very good at taking opportunities when they arise. So they can make themselves very, very full, which will keep them going for a few days. Now, I wish I could do that. I wish I could make myself so full that I don't need to eat for the next few days. But unfortunately, I'm always hungry, boys and girls. I always need to eat lots of vegetables and regularly. So hyenas are just incredibly fascinating. They can make use of any food source. The only thing you won't see them eating is plants. Now, Thomas is asking, why are their backs so sloped? And that one there is just giving us a perfect view of why it's so sloped. Now, hyenas are designed for their power in their front legs and their necks. If you also look, you will see they've got very strange, powerful and muscular necks, and this is because they're used to grabbing things with their front legs and their mouths and pulling them. So that is why they're stronger at the front side compared to the back side. Their back legs are only really used for galloping, but their front legs are used for many things: chasing, pulling, running. So that's why they're a little bit unequal, and they're a little bit more powerful at the front than they are at the back, and this helps them save energy. So although it does look kind of funny, they're actually designed in such a unique way that they can save energy when they're going about all their daily activities. Now, we're just trying to find you some more hyenas here, because there is indeed a lot running around, sniffing one another, having a little nap. There's so many hyenas around here. So we're going to keep our eye on these hyenas and this giraffe here, but we're going to send you back down to South Africa to see Rusty.
Well, welcome back. I lost sight of Talamba, the female leopard I was following. It is a very thick bush and she disappears very quickly. We think she is still on the hunt because it is going into dark or going into nighttime here, so it's very hard to follow her, especially through this very thick bush. I tried as hard as I can to find her again. We're not giving up just yet, but we followed up one of the other roads where she might come out. But yes, I had a question from Hugo. In what animal is the strongest in South Africa? Now, that's actually a very broad answer. But if you generally look at the size of animals, you'll say elephant. But if you really concentrate and actually go into details of books and study of animals versus the size and the strongness of them, you can go all the way down to the tiniest of ants. When you are comparison to how big an ant is or how small an ant is and how much it can carry, I would say they are the strongest. Because elephants, although they are very big, they can only do so much with their weight. While ants, they are so small, they carry almost, it's something like 50 times they size, 100 times their size. So you think of an elephant what weighs 6 tons, or let's say 6,000 kg, 6 tons. Now an elephant won't be able to carry something 100 times more than that. While an ant or certain insects can do that. They can carry something 100 times more than their own body size. So that's a very broad answer to that. I hope that helped. You can always ask the teacher for confirmation there, but I'm just going by general animal size and what is the strongest. But if you're asking, yes, what animals, larger animals we have are the strongest, yes, elephants. Brad, what is the most dangerous animal in South Africa? That's an easy one. It comes down to humans, but no. The most dangerous animal that is in South Africa, I'll say the mosquito, malaria. I wouldn't say animals are dangerous when they come up to human conflict, when human and animal conflict. So animals are only dangerous once we're involved. So without us being in the picture, animals are pretty decent and they're not naturally horrible or dangerous. Yes, we do have a lot of respect for elephants and lions and rhinos and buffaloes, but there's no reason to fear them and think they are dangerous. They're only dangerous if we put ourselves into situations where they don't like us, or we have or rev the car too much, or driven too close to them, or come between a mother and its baby. Then that's when the animal becomes dangerous, but that's from us causing the problem. So that is also another answer that is also very hard to answer. So yes, I will go with man being our most dangerous, but animals can be, all animals can be. They are very protective over their young, they're very protective over their food, and they don't like to be hassled. Thank you. Well, I hope that answered the question. Well, while we're still looking forward to Lamba and see where she moved off to, we are going to go back to the hyena den because Jamie loves them loves them a lot.
Good luck, Rusty. I hope you managed to find your leopard. It is, of course, now dark here in South Africa as well. So Kenya's an hour ahead of us. So they reached nightfall earlier than we did. But it is now dark here as well. So we've also switched into infrared. And that means we get out the trusty spotlight. And the spotlight is what we use on safari to help us find animals. And it's amazing. I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's much easier than you think it would be, because animals have a layer at the back of their eyes that reflects light, and that bounces back and creates what we call, very technically, an eye shine. So the eyes shine in the light. You know how if you have a photograph taken and you see Mind you, it doesn't really happen so much anymore these days. Back in the day when you had photographs taken with flashes and so on, you would get a sort of a red eye effect. And it's quite similar to that. So what we do is we scan using our spotlight and we look for eye shine. What we don't do, if we spot something like that's a daytime animal, like an antelope, then we don't keep the light on them. And the reason that we don't do that is because it actually causes something known as flash blindness. So, you know, if you shine a bright light in your eyes, how you struggle to see a little bit because your pupil contracts really, really small to restrict the amount of light going into your eye. So if we shine lights on daytime animals, we actually make their lives a bit more difficult, and we can make them quite vulnerable to predators. So we just scan quite quickly. If we see a daytime animal, then we take the light off them immediately. But because it's nighttime, that means that all sorts of exciting nocturnal creatures come out to play. And what we're looking for as well is chameleons. Now Will wants to know, while we're driving along, why the roads are so twisted and bendy. Well, a lot of the time, the roads are actually put in place where there used to be a path that animals walked regularly. So, like a hiking trail, animals don't like to have to walk through trees, especially elephants, hippo, rhino. They don't really like to have to stumble over obstacles any more than we do. So they walk regular pathways through the bush, but because they've got to move around a tree or around a termite mound, then the path twists and turns slightly. And the people who put the roads here, who built the roads, often actually put the roads where there were animal paths. So that's why the roads are twisty. It's to take us round obstacles like termite mounds, make sure that when the roads were built, not too many plants had to be removed, not too many termite mounds had to be removed, and so on. So it's to create as minimal amount of impact on the area as possible. Because remember, the environment doesn't do straight lines necessarily. So sometimes there's big dips and holes. Oh, Graham, you've caught me out with a question. Graham wants to know what the most common bug is in South Africa, and I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to tell you now. I'm going to see if we can see this. Impala's quite far away, but I've picked up on some eye shine. So there's an antelope over there in the distance, and it gives you something to look at while I answer Graham's question. Graham, I'm not sure what the most common bug would be. Because remember that we talk about bugs meaning all insects, but in fact it means a special family of insects. But let's not be pedantic, because I know what you mean. There's lots of termites, lots and lots of ants, and then lots of different types of beetles, some known as chafers, which we see quite a lot of. What I have noticed is that every year there are lots of different kinds of insects. So insects have life cycles that don't necessarily mean that they all come out every year. So some insects actually swarm or all hatch at once in one particular year, and then you don't see them again for a couple of years after that. So it differs from year to year. And there we go. That's a diurnal antelope. The only reason that we can see it is because we've got special lights known as infrared lights, which allow us to view the animals without disturbing them. But you see that shine on the impala's eye? That's what I'm looking for when I'm using my spotlight. This is a very sort of average-sized antelope. There's some that are a lot bigger, some that are a lot smaller, so this one's somewhere in the middle. But a very, very strong antelope and a very fast antelope. And I know it's a male because he's got horns. Female impala don't have horns. Oh, Madeline and Ava know about an antelope called a kudu and want to know if we get them here and why their horns are curled. Now, that is also a really, really good question. We do get kudu here. They belong to a different group of antelope than the impala, but we do see them. They're much bigger than the impala, one of the biggest antelope we see here. And the males have really, really curly horns. And the reason that they have those horns is to allow them to fight when it comes time to mate with the females. Now, all animals out here want to avoid fighting if they can. So what that means is they'll try and look as intimidating as possible. And the kudu have these long curly horns to look big and scary so that they deter their rivals. Don't fight with me because I'm bigger than you. But if they do fight, then the curls actually potentially change the way that their horns lock together. So it stops them sometimes from poking each other or hurting their eyes. But what does happen with kudu sometimes is when they fight, sometimes because the horns are so spiraled, they actually potentially lock together. Did you see something there, Craig? No. Cool. False alarm. I thought Craig had spotted something. Now, there's a reason that the female kudu don't have horns. So males do, but females don't. And the reason is because the horns actually can get stuck in vegetation as well. So the females don't need horns, so they don't have them. Thomas, you want to know why they have that thing that glows in the back of their eyes. So it's basically a reflective layer, kind of like a mirror. And the reason that they have that is because out here it gets very, very dark. But not everything goes to sleep. So lions, leopards, hyenas, they're all out hunting. And they've got to be able to see, and the antelope and all the other things have got to be able to see them as well. So what that does is it takes every little bit of available light. So even if there's a half moon, and it helps to concentrate it in the eye to make sure that the animal gets as much light as possible to special cells in the back of the eye. And that also means that most of these animals don't see as well as we do in color, because we've got special cells that allow us to see in color. They have them too, but not as many as we do. Instead, they've got special cells that help them to see in the dark, basically. So we can't see very well in the dark, but we can see very well in color, where the animals can see much, much better than we can in the dark. And they can walk around without walking into things. That's a very good question, though. Oh, it's a nice, relatively clear night here, which means that the animals will be able to see. The animals in the Mara might have to face a storm tonight.
It is not a clear night here in the Mara, and we do have lightning that we're going to try. Oh, there you go. I hope you all saw that. There's lots of lightning streaking across the sky behind of us, and we're just trying to get you. There we go. Another one. Isn't that cool? So there's a high chance there might be a storm happening here tonight, I think, but luckily enough it is not raining at this moment. I'm not a very big fan of rain. Now, we did leave the giraffe, the mummy giraffe, and all the hyenas. We decided to let them be, but wasn't that just a fantastic interaction between two very different animals of different sizes and completely different in what they feed on? We have one carnivore and of course one herbivore. Remember, I mentioned that earlier. So we did decide to leave them behind and go on a bit of a drive, but we can't stop watching the lightning. It is so fascinating. I'm not sure what the night has in store for us in the Mara tonight. It could get very windy and very wild. And of course, all the animals will indeed have to hide, protect themselves, because usually during storms, many of the predators, the carnivores, like your cats and your hyenas, can indeed use that to their advantage. Now, the wind will block out the noise and the smell, so it's much easier for predators to actually creep up on other animals. So when there is a storm, you will find that some animals out here do actually start to behave a little bit differently. And I will behave by going inside my tent and keeping nice and warm. So we're going to keep on driving, everybody, now that you've had a very good look at the lightning. Just going to have to do a bit of a turn here. Now, Aidan is asking, how dangerous are lions? Oh, what a question. How dangerous are lions? They are said to be the kings and queens out here. They're said to be right at the top of the list of all these predators that we've been mentioning. Now, female lions normally are found together in prides. So you will normally find a whole pride of females and their cubs. So they have the strength in numbers. Now, male lions are very, very powerful animals, very, very strong. And many of the other animals out here are indeed scared of lions. Now, the male lions can be found together in a group, and we call this coalitions. Sometimes they will join up with the females, but sometimes not. And we have many different prides of lions out here. We regularly come across lions, and they can be very scary for all the other animals that are indeed out here. So while we keep driving in all this lightning with the animals running off on either side of us, we are going to send you down to Rusty, who has a bird.
Well, as I was heading home, it's got very dark, and with most birds, they take to the trees to roost at night because living on the ground can be quite dangerous around here. This here is called a ground hornbill. Now, if any of you have watched The Lion King, you know Zazu from The Lion King, you'll figure out that that is actually part of the hornbill family. That's where they got the character from. Now, this is a much larger version, and he or she, I think it's a male, normally lives off the ground. They do nest in trees and hollows of the trees, but they spend most of their day walking on the ground. They're about the size of your average turkey. They are very large birds, and they make the most amazing sound in the morning. It's a very deep, very deep sound, and it carries the distance. They're actually one of the most protected birds in South Africa because they're very slow breeders. They only get to raise maybe even one chick every 3 to 4 years, so it's very difficult for them to have a chick. And they normally live in groups of about 4 or 5. And I do apologize about it not being in color, but we don't want to use artificial light, like a spotlight on it, like a normal torch headlight. We're using black and white infrared. So it just helps to not disturb the animal or the bird too much. You can see the eyes are reflecting the light from the infrared. It's not its normal eye. It looks very scary, but it's got nothing to do with that. It's just how the eyes are. Excellent. So Jamie's told you all about the eye reflection. Max, what color would this bird be if we saw it in color? Now, if you look at the face, see that very lumpy face around the bill, at the base of the bill? That is normally a nice bright red. And then the rest of the body is black. And now when they open their wings to fly, they have white on their wings. They are very, very beautiful birds. Although they look very ugly in this color, in this black and white, when you see them in color, they are absolutely beautiful. And they normally live in families of about 4 or 5 or 6 of them. And they walk along the ground. And one special thing these do, when a male wants to attract a female or take her on a date or mate with her or breed from her, he brings her a present, believe it or not. They end up bringing up snakes, grasshoppers. They end up collecting them all day in their bill. And then at the end of the evening, they go and present it to the female they like to say, yes, I've got you a present. Now, would you mate with me? Would you find a nest and start the generation all over again? So they're very special in that way. Okay. So yes, that is absolutely gorgeous. You cannot deny it. They are magnificent birds, and they do not like their reflection. They've been known to go up to some lodges in the area and smash windows by mistake just because they see the reflection. So yes. Well, it is coming to the end of the evening. I'm so happy we found this ground hornbill. It just happened to be right above the road where we were driving. And I'm going to slowly but surely creep under it, and hopefully it won't poo on me. So yes, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day at school. And I hope to see you all again in the next few days or in the next few weeks. It's always exciting. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you very soon. See you for the sunrise.